Welcome everybody to a special day of KeSPA Cup. It's New Year's Eve here in Seoul, South Korea, and it's me, Valdez, with Lord and Savior LS here. Nice to have you on the broadcast once again. It's actually our first time broadcasting together here for the KeSPA Cup, so funny that we come together here on this massive day. We got 4 amazing teams. A lot of people are saying these are the 4 teams that are going to be at the top of the 2020 LCK, and I wouldn't be surprised based on looking at their rosters so far. So how are you feeling about today, Mr. LS?
Well, I'm really looking forward to it. As you just said, that these 4 teams, a lot of people are expecting them to actually end up at the top of 2020 spring. And now taking a look at the brackets really quickly, we had Sandbox yesterday advancing 2-0 over Griffin, right at the very top there. But the camera panned away. But all right, let's talk about today's matchups. Gen.G versus T1.
Yes, T1.
Shout out to Joe on that one. But
yeah,
I think T1's actually going to win today. I know that you feel differently. You think Gen.G is going to be the one that's going to pull ahead. And then the last series of the night, we're going to have DragonX taking on DAMWON Gaming. And in regards to the first series, yes, T1, they don't have Khan, right? Khan ended up leaving the team. Today, they're actually going to be playing Kana first in the top lane.
Yeah,
and
we go from Khan to Kana.
You go from Khan to... Exactly.
That's the strategy that they're going for today. I like it, Ellis.
Yeah, and obviously Gen.G has had a lot of changes, but all things considered, well, yes, a lot of people look at the top lane as being one of the potential weaknesses of T1 today. I think that the matchup dynamic isn't large enough to really change too much. And then T1 has always been a team that fundamentally has been very solid and strong. So even though it is KeSPA Cup and there has been some changes and it's the off-season and everything like that, I'm expecting more from them today than Gen.G.
Okay, fair enough. Today is actually not a match between Gen.G and T1. It's a match between you and I and our predictions. As you went for the straight 2-0 for T1. Lots of confidence in this roster. And I went for the 2-1. I think that today should be, at least on paper, a 6-game day. Just because these are the 4 best teams and they look really close, and it should be very competitive. League of Legends should be being the key words. Now, we've had a lot of crazy things happen at KeSPA Cup, a lot of wonky series, and some delays. You guys might have seen the massive wall of text. That was a nice little wall of written apology to all the fans here, the Korean fans, for yesterday and the issues, but we got our sound back. Our lost sound is back.
It's going to be an 8-game day. We're getting 2 remakes.
Games? Oh.
And a couple of pauses. Just to really bring it full circle. I know how excited you are about it.
Well, I felt, Max, it was a little bit unfair. He got all this time to broadcast, so we messed with the script a little bit. We didn't leak it yet, but might be leaked soon. I guess you did just leak it, actually.
Yesterday on broadcast, Max, he gave me the script for a little bit prior to one of the games. That's what really happened. Why I had to leave.
That's why, I'm out of here, guys. I'm sorry, I'm not broadcasting anymore.
Check the VODs footage. You'll see exactly what happened.
Were you on camera and you just, zoomed off, or?
That's exactly what happened.
Did it just come back and it was just Max alone in the middle?
That's where the dizziness and the nausea came from. I actually saw the list of what was going to be happening, and I was like, well, can't actually have this. So
I don't blame you. We've had a lot of issues here for League of Legends in the Nexon Arena. We've had toilet issues. We've had chair issues, some sound issues and game issues, audio issues yesterday, side issues, yes. But your lost sight is now found, so that's good. It feels like we've dimmed the lights a little bit today.
They did. They actually did dim the lights. It's a lot more manageable. So for people that don't know why I departed the broadcast yesterday, I know there was a couple of Reddit threads. There's also a lot of tweets. I have an eye disease called keratoconus. I actually don't know the percentage rate of what it affects in terms of the population, but I have light sensitivity, and once the dizziness gets going...
Light sensitivity,
Yeah. Once the dizziness gets going, it's pretty hard to do anything. So today it's a lot better.
better than vomiting on broadcast. I believe you did do the right thing. So either way, it's good to have you back, and it's good to have your site back. And we're going to get into these games in just a moment. Gen.G, of course, you guys have already seen them here at the KeSPA Cup with their new roster. Ruler and Life have some new friends in the top side of the map, BDD, Clid, and Rascal. Seeming pretty good so far, but definitely a much tougher opponent today.
Definitely. And we'll have to see, again, how this roster is going to stack up against T1's. I'm really looking forward to seeing how Kana is going to perform. There's a lot of hype around this player coming in, and rookies don't always have to be on the weaker side of things. We've seen this now in the LCK, most recently, obviously, Doran, coming straight up from solo queue and looking pretty strong in summer, as well as so far here in the KeSPA Cup. So a lot of hype around Kana, and we'll see how he can fare here today against Rascal. I think it's a really good matchup to sort of test him and see how he's going to perform, because there's the Elite Four for the top laners, and then there's the players beneath them. And right now, right below the Elite Four, I have Doran at 5th, personally. And so then it starts entering into Rascal and some of the other top laners. So seeing how Kana's going to stack up to them is going to be really important.
Maybe you can list the top 4.
Kana's departed.
The 4 that you were talking
about. So it's
about.
now Summit, Keen, and Nuggery. And I guess now Doran would be...
Oh, okay, so... Yeah. So he's entered the top 4.
Well, Doran's entered it, yeah.
Yeah.
The Elite 3.
The Elite 3,
New Pokemon series,
changed,
you know? So it's a little... As long as you don't end up like Hop, everything's going to be okay.
Yes, and I don't know. We have a ton of fans here for T1. It's packed out in the Nexon Arena more than any other day that we have seen so far. We are absolutely going to be having some fan chants today, whereas they have been sparse in the beginnings of the KeSPA Cup. And there's a lot of hype around all these players, and definitely a lot of pressure on some of the rookies, such as Kana. So we'll be interested to see how he can do, as we're going to hop right onto the pick and ban.
All right.
Gen.G on blue.
Well, let's hope that you don't lose me by the end of this draft phase, Valdez. All right, I've been...
Yeah, I know. The real thing that gets you sick is Korean drafts, actually.
All right, so far, Akali and Lee Sin going to be the bans for T1. Gragas and Misfortune on the left-hand side for Gen.G. We're going to see what the last ban is going to be here. Just no Tom Kenches. No Tom Kench first picks on B1 and or response on R1, R2.
Okay.
Lucian bites the dust.
You're not a fan of Senna Tom Kench?
I'm not a fan of Tom in general.
Okay.
LeBlanc will actually be banned away, which does mean that Syndra has made it through. Rek'Sai ends up getting picked first, and it's a very peculiar pick to go first. There's so many junglers that are still wide open right now, and Rek'Sai is a very committed jungler. T1 now hovering Elise.
When you say committed, you mean committed to a certain kind of play style.
Yeah.
So you're kind of showing your cards a bit here, even with just one pick, which is not necessarily what you want to do.
Like Gragas or like Jarvan, those junglers in particular, they have different modes. They can obviously be supportive to their team, they can engage, they can go glass cannon, they can go off-tanky, they can fulfill a lot of roles, and Rek'Sai tends to fall off a cliff after 2 items, but Rek'Sai also can fulfill the mid-rangey aspect of a jungler, but obviously there's other champions that can do that as well. Now, T1 in kind, they respond with Elise and then Xayah. So, Xayah obviously extremely versatile, but Elise not so much. We're going to have to see what they're going to end up pairing her with, but Gen.G, they're showing a lot of information very early on. Now, Rumble is on par with Rek'Sai's theme, and now Nautilus is picked up as well. T1 gonna walk into the Nautilus by selecting the Rakan, so definitely a little bit surprising right there.
Yeah, Xayah Rakan coming together in the bottom lane, so perhaps that was their plan, but as you mentioned, Not the best into the Nautilus in general, but still could see some flexing from the side of Gen.G. You would expect that to go support, but you could see it in the mid lane with Rumble heading top. Definitely some change-ups can be thrown in here, as Caitlyn is also going to hit the ban list.
Caitlyn getting banned does make sense right now. Let's see what Gen.G are thinking about responding with. They're doing a very cliche ban there with the Renekton as they target him away, and watch them do something like Aatrox, because...
I missed Aatrox. Because it's Korea.
Yeah.
Everybody loves Aatrox. But instead, they'll ban out another champion you're not super fond of. In the Kennen, will be taken off the board here. Thankfully, no Olafs have been seen just yet, though, as both junglers have been picked.
Kennen ban, a little interesting. We'll have to see what that could be signifying that they would want to pick. And the reason that I say that's interesting is because it would allow you to itemize very easy against Gen.G's comp if they would do something like that. And it would also gate Gen.G into being almost entirely peaking at 1.5, 2 items. And there's the Aatrox, unironically, being hovered.
Yeah, unironic Aatrox in 2019. Last day of 2019, by the way. So he got one last unironic Aatrox in there right before we ended the year.
Well, Trox is locked in there. And now Gen.G insta-locking Senna, didn't even hover her, and now they're going to lock in Tom.
Yeah.
So this is going to be a mid Nautilus with a top Rumble in top lane, and this gives T1 the counter pick. So there's so many champions that can thematically destroy Gen.G's team composition right now. They're extremely short range. They have a heavy reliance on engage. All of their champions are the same champion at 1.5 and 2 items, and then from there forward, nothing really works. Cassiopeia is a beautiful champion.
Yeah, it's perfect.
It's settled the wreckage in champion form.
Yeah.
That's exactly what that is. So, Veigar,
yeah,
really, really strong here. Ryze, really, really strong here against Gen.G. Cassiopeia, there's just so many mid lane champion picks that can deconstruct what Gen.G had drafted up until this point. And so it definitely is a little surprising to see that the Nautilus was flexed into mid lane. And honestly, T1, yeah, they have an Elise, but the Cassiopeia, the Xayah, and even the Aatrox here, because of the theme of Gen.G's comp, they're all going to scale so well. Gen.G has to do something this game by 20 minutes. They need a very large lead. They're going to need good Dragon RNG as well, because a couple of Dragons just ruin their life.
And we've seen this before, where some teams try to get in there, they don't draft a lot of scaling, and then they kind of fall off because they don't get ahead enough. And it seemed like Gen.G had a very specific plan coming into today. And T1, just looking at the draft, it feels like with that counter pick of the Cassiopeia, they're in a pretty good spot. So feeling good about that draft as we're going to head into game number 1 for Gen.G versus T1 right now. So, first criticism so far is that the Gen.G fan chant needs some improvement, we'll say. I don't know who the fan chant leader was, but you can't do it that fast and catch people off guard. Otherwise, you're not going to have a good fan chant to back it up. Whereas the T1, they waited specifically, and then they were like, T1, hana. It was very clear.
It was, yeah.
And they got in a big, nice cheer. So right off the bat, T1's winning with the fan chant. And it's not going to sit well in the minds of the Gen.G fans. But either way, we are heading on to the Rift here, as we'll be interested to see. My eyes are on Kana here, as are the observers, to see exactly what he can do on the Aatrox. Can he actually go up against Rascal in the top lane? One of our rookies here for 2020.
Well, He's going to be on the Aatrox, what a champion to debut with. Has the Conqueror rune selected. He's up against a Rumble with Comet that's starting Doran's Ring. And the way that these lane dynamics all are, we're going to have to just really pay attention to what the Rek'Sai can accomplish, because remember, the onus is going to be on Gen.G to actually make something happen. T1, sorry. My apologies. You know what, I've been, I was a StarCraft 1 player and StarCraft 2, so
yes.
I've been very used to saying it one way for, well, 13 years?
Yeah.
Right? 14 years, so...
That's what happens with rebrands, you know, where it's like, well, everybody still knows you as one as... Ooh. Well, this is a nice little trade here from Faker. He hit level 2 first, and BDD just ate the poison, so you got to be careful about that when you're a melee against Cassiopeia.
Like I was saying, T1, a lot less responsibility this game than their opponents, even though they have the Elise. She doesn't necessarily have to make anything happen in the super early stages. Faker, now, with how much damage BDD has taken this early on, it's definitely not his responsibility to stay in the lane. You can obviously see that BDD is probably not going to be interested in trying to set anything up. Elise now on her Gromp. Teddy and Effort aren't going to be able to achieve anything on Wave 4. This is Wave 3. They could just recall after crashing Wave 4. We'll see if they end up doing that. They already have the priority established, had Elise just passed down to the right-hand side and waited for Scuttle Crab, but looks like Cuz is actually going to go to the Wolf Camp first. And Faker, he's at about 20% mana in mid lane right now. Has both of his potions still, so definitely an interesting situation right now, as we're getting a bit of a mini lull state. Even right now, Rascal up here in top lane, he's crashed the wave. He's getting a little bit of poke damage, but we're going to see if they're going to try to convert this into a dive.
You saw that question mark ping that went right onto the ward. So they know there's a ward there. Kana's extremely low.
Dead. He's dead.
Klid is coming in, but actually the tower aggro is going to go on to Klid before the wave is pushed in. A little bit of an oopsie there. Kind of taking a lot of damage. He's going to flash away. He misses the knockout, and he's going to go down. Big mistake coming in from Klid, as Kana is going to live under the turret 2v1.
And that's an absolutely disastrous situation right now for Gen.G. Cuz is punished. He's coming in here. It looks like he's getting intel on all the camps that are up and available. He plants a ward down, not actually going to start the blue buff. He knows that Rek'Sai has to path there as soon as she's up. Faker now in mid lane with the freeze. This is perfect timing to kill BDD. He's probably going to walk up to cast E, but if he acknowledges this is the only timing he can die, he won't do it.
He did go for it anyway, as BDD
Love it.
Still does have his flash, but there's the miasma, and he is going to get cocooned, and he will go down, as he was not able to get out of that one. I think he should have pre-flashed just to get away, but he gets hit by the miasma and gets knocked down.
And I love what Faker's doing. It's not very often in pro play. I mean, I've complained about it all throughout Worlds. I've complained about it even a few times here in KeSPA Cup. Players don't manipulate their lane state to be favorable to the jungler, but he's doing it right now. We'll talk about that after this replay here, as Kana outplays the dive attempt that was orchestrated by Rascal and Klid. Some wave manipulation errors there, but like we saw Faker, he had a freeze in front of his turret. It was the only timing that BDD could end up dying. He walked up, and then Cuz had used no CC as CC. The threat of the cocoon making BDD make inefficient clicks and pathing ended up bringing him down.
Yeah, and the timing was perfect too. I mean, you were kind of calling it as it happened as well. He's going to go up. He has to E the wave with the freeze coming in. It was the whole setup that made the kill actually happen in the end. So T1, they get the outplay in the top side. They're going to miss this cocoon, as Cuz not going to be 100% on that one. Good read it seems, from Rascal. As, okay, setting up a tunnel and a TP, Gen.G trying to get really aggressive here, as Rascal is level 6, looking for that equalizer. There it is gonna go. After the slow comes in, they're gonna try to 4v2 underneath this one, and the damage will come in, but here comes the TP from Faker, trying to trade one back, but now he's all alone. Will pick up the 1 kill, and only get knocked up, so ends up being a 2-for-1 as Faker will pick up a kill on the backside.
Yeah, and you can see that during this, Cuz isn't really achieving all that much. He's level 4. Obviously a little bit late to the party right there. Now, Rascal, he was down there, but it comes at a cost. You can see Kana now level 7, Rascal still level 6. There's a CS discrepancy between them as well, and this entire wave just went into nothingness. We'll take a look at the replay. So, they teleported down Rascal. It was a good equalizer. Effort and Teddy trying to do their best. Faker eventually teleporting in as mid was completely even. And he ended up picking up a kill there onto Rascal right at the very end. None of the other players committing, and Faker obviously had Flash still available. So as it stands right now, T1 are ahead.
Yeah, you always have to
ask
gold. If it's worth it, you know. It's a TP for a TP and a 2-for-1, but all the other stuff that you gain from the other lanes, the Aatrox pushing out the top side, what the Rumble loses, and now you've got a 2-0 Faker Cassiopeia, who is looking to roam down to the bottom side. Looks like they are going to respect that, as it's only Rascal here. Glid moving up to the top side. It looks like they're actually just going to kind of throw away the bottom side. Well, Gen.G, but now BDD in a bunch of trouble, is going to flash away. Faker missing that second Q. May have continued had he hit it, but instead BDD will just get away with the flash.
It's a really nice equalizer right there by Rascal, meanwhile, down in bot lane. And right now also, T1, they're picking up the Mountain Dragon. Now, unfortunately for them, not a lot of their champions build resistances. And the other unfortunate thing for them is that Mountain Dragon pretty much sucks, unless you build resistances. It's a pretty bad dragon. I think the best dragon early game right now, it's really hard to say. I think
probably
depending
Ocean,
on,
right?
No, they changed Ocean to missing, or it's even lower missing. So if you're only missing 100 HP, you're not really getting anything.
Yeah.
It's really bad, especially the way that most lane phases and things just tend to conduct themselves.
It makes it so
in some
every
cases it's
Drake
Cloud.
is like a scaling Drake, right?
It's really weird, Valdez. Let's just not even talk about it.
Okay.
I haven't ate today yet, but I'm getting a little queasy just thinking about it, I'll be honest with you.
Not a big fan of the new Drakes, I see.
I think they're all... I think the intention was really good. I think what ended up happening in the end now, though, is that... Let's say that you're T1 right here, and you just got Mountain Dragon. Cloud Dragon for the enemy team, how much does it really do? Not that much. You could forego capturing it and then guarantee that you get 3, 4, and 5, and then the Dragon Soul of 5. So
yeah,
you amplify everything as much as you possibly can, and that could end up being good. But if you're T1 and you pick up Cloud Dragon next, well, how much does that really do for your team composition? Not much. And then you're only going to get 2 dragons
Drakes,
towards your soul, and that's probably not as ideal. Now, if you're Gen.G, you could also give up the Cloud Dragon, and then go 1, 2, 3, 4 into Dragon Soul. So you get a 4x Dragon Soul. Now, these are decisions that pro teams obviously have to make, but when the dragons as a standalone are so weak, it's things that you definitely have to consider. Now, you're T1, you're trying to outscale your opponents this game, and you know that you win out 2.5 items forward. Yeah, sure, just give up second dragon, and then actively look to pursue 3, 4, and 5.
Yeah. I mean, the one Cloud Drake isn't going to do much, as you mentioned. And the individual Drakes are not great compared to the Dragon Soul, which can be quite game-changing. We've seen teams already in the KeSPA Cup give up Drakes seemingly for... Even when they're ahead, they're like, yeah, sure, take it, whatever. We really don't care. Unless they're trying to rush out a Dragon Soul, in which case, you know, maybe they have a comp that wants to get ahead early.
T1 is freezing.
No.
Well, Faker's about to go back up there. I actually think that's what's happening right now. You can see the pings are going down onto it. That's a perma-freeze if Faker gets back there in time.
Oh, it's going to freeze here, yeah?
No. No!
I was just waiting for him to throw down the poison.
There is nothing to do on the map right now. There were pings from Gen.G. They were so mad at the lane state. They were pinging it on the minimap. And he walked up there and he just unlocked it. And for what, Valdez? Tell me.
What's the thing you told me about before? E2?
Where does he need to be right now? Where does he need to be right now? Because that was a Keck WQ if I ever saw one. He doesn't need to be anywhere.
Yeah. Hey, man, he wanted to push the lane.
Oh, it's for the river control.
There are plates still up.
Oh, that's important.
He's trying to get some of that cash money.
Right, that's important. It's more important than denying hundreds and hundreds of gold and XP and permanently locking Gen.G out of a wave.
Well, you know what happens now is that all the players are kind of out of position to defend each other, so they're kind of just going to push each other's lanes.
Well, yeah, that's exactly what's happening.
There's
so
a lot less
handshake.
thought put into it. You know, they're just like, okay, yeah, sure, we can just go along with this, you know.
I had such high hopes for a second.
Just how happy you got when you were like, oh my god,
I thought this was
actually happening?
I thought we were about to witness
the prelude
evolution.
to 2020? Is it finally happening? No, it's not. It's not happening.
Not yet.
Sorry, LS.
Maybe a couple more months and pro teams will.
Oh, well, I wouldn't get your hopes up. It's been many, many years of the same. So,
all right, hold on, we could... No. Now, the thing here, though, is that, there's a Clown Dragon coming up in 40 seconds, and neither team really cares about it. And, I mean, this is another argument against what I was just suggesting, where Casio could still be freezing.
She could still be there.
And there is no chance Gen.G can just go over and unlock it. None of the champions had items. You can't just arbitrarily dive the tier 1 turrets.
You can't 5v4 against what they have.
Right.
Because Xayah and Aatrox can wave clear.
So,
right? So you can just
even
5v4
with
in any
Equalizer
other lane.
and with Nautilus or something, you can't really do it. You don't have enough firepower
Faker
at
has
this stage.
TP.
Faker even has teleport, but...
So if they dove, he could be there.
Right, there's so many factors that go into it. I think a lot of people, they just see a numbers advantage, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything. It's more so about the limits of what champions can do, what their items are. Well, here's a fight.
We like action as Effort's gonna die immediately, and not much else is gonna happen, actually. T1 on the big-time retreat as Effort goes on a one-way trip to the death zone, and nobody else on his team bothered to join him as Kana had to flash the wall to just try to get into the fight, and nobody else was quite able to get in there.
And here's the question that I have for you right now. We look at the map state, right? We look at the two side lanes. We look at the fact that it's a cloud dragon, and you ask yourself, what are they really fighting over? And it's a couple hundred gold. And when you have a team composition that outscales the opponent, why are you looking to be the ones pursuing fights? And so Gen.G, they get rewarded. Because if you're Gen.G right now and you're in this game, and you view the game through what their mini-map vision is and what their champion vision radius is, you ask, well, what do these champions really desire right now? It's a team fight.
I mean, you said it before the game started. You can just look at the team compositions. You know, it doesn't really have much to do even with the game state. It's just the way that the champions work together. And T1 basically bought into it, as now they're looking to take another big fight as the Equalizer's gonna hit 4 in the backside. Rumble doing insane damage. Cuz trying to be on the front line here. Faker's the big boss on SKT, still chipping away at Gen.G and pushing them back. He's gonna flash forward, but now he's gonna get CC. Can they take him down? Yes, they can. That is a big takedown, but the rest of T1 rather is gonna get in there, and now it's 4-on-2. They are on the chase, and they have finally made a fight work for them.
Faker managed to make what was a losing situation end up becoming winnable. T1 now, they're gonna pick up Shirley. Now, the mid-tier 1 turret is still really healthy for Gen.G, so this can definitely end up being a valuable dragon. Now, remember, I said in draft phase that there's a couple of dragons that are doomsday for Gen.G. Ocean Soul is definitely one of them with how their champions fight. We take a look at the replay. And at first it looks like T1 are making a pretty poor decision. They're fighting Gen.G when their champions are at a peak, but then Faker arrives, has a really good angle as Gen.G end up being on the retreat. They end up bringing down Faker, but at the cost of losing everything, so not quite the Thanos that you wanted.
Yeah.
As now we come back into live. If T1 can get 3 Ocean Dragons into the Ocean Soul, that's a win con as well now. They don't even necessarily need to just look at Baron. And if you're a Gen.G fan, you keep looking at this game and wondering, well, what am I really hoping to accomplish right here? You have a Rek'Sai building Black Cleaver as her second item, and it's only Ruler and Clid that are the sources of physical damage, so not really giving insane amplification. And now also, because of the preseason jungle changes, look as the junglers fall further and further behind the solo laners in terms of levels.
Yeah, especially because,
So,
funnily enough, the solo laners on Gen.G are actually not that far ahead, but they're so far behind the solo laners of T1, as BDD is down 2 levels on Faker, and Rascal is down 1 on Kana in the top side. And there's even a bit of a CS difference as well, especially for the mid lane, as Effort engaging once again. Got to be careful about that, as Teddy is going to be locked down and denied. And yeah, I think it doesn't really bode well for Gen.G if they have this comp that wants to fight at this time, but they're already losing fights to SKT. And I'm not even sure that it has to do with like item timings or compositions. I think it was just T1 played the fight out a bit better than Gen.G did.
Right now, in this game, minute and 30 until Ocean Dragon's gonna end up coming up. Rumble has Leandri's right now. Protobelt completed for the Nautilus as his only item so far. Lethality items beginning to get picked up by Ruler. On the side of T1 though, all their items that they start picking up for their champions are better and better. Rek'Sai, once she has the Black Cleaver, what realistically is going to be next that changes how Clid conducts himself in a team fight? Not really anything. Nautilus, from this point forward, basically always going to be the same champion inside of a team fight. So really, Rumble has about 1 more peak to really get, and then from there, there's going to end up being roughly the same champion. But Cassiopeia, she doesn't slow down. She's one of the champions in the game that can go all the way to 6 items. And against the Gen.G comp, every single item does change how Faker can conduct himself in a team fight. Teddy, likewise, on the Xayah, going to be able to keep getting more damage, more utility, which is what Gen.G doesn't like. And now here's Ocean Dragon. Infinity Edge completed for Xayah. Really nice timing. Faker and friends have control over the right-hand side river.
T1 should know that they're hiding in that brush or nearby the Drake. Everybody knows how important it is to get this Dragon Soul as soon as possible, but Gen.G grouping up here. Looks like they want to take a fight as this one does come in, but look at Kana. He's got TP. He's looking for a TP fight, but Effort's going to get extremely low. Has that stopwatch to stay alive. Here comes Kana from behind, looking for the big flank. There's 1, there's 2, and then he goes golden, actually. Not sure about that, as maybe panicked a little bit, but T1 still in the lead here, but looking to kite them down is Gen.G. Over the wall goes Clid. He's going to get the 1, should get Kana as well. He's leading the charge. It's another knockup, but it's not enough, as Ruler and Rascal were zoned out a bit afterwards. Ruler taking a bunch of damage on the backside. Ends up being a 3-for-3 somehow at the end of it all.
Yeah, so, I mean, T1, though, they're going to benefit from this. Trades always favor the scaling team. Now, they're going to win the Ocean Dragon. And you can also see in that fight, Faker is basically immortal. There's no champion that can just get on him at once. And to get all of your champions on him and to bring down the Cassiopeia through the Rod of Ages, through the Seraph's Embrace, is so hard, especially with the Cassiopeia healing. And the Miasma makes things such a nightmare for your team composition. So it's only going to get worse from here, Valdez, and we're getting brief glimpses at how hard the team fights are going to be, even when Effort loses everything at the start.
So 2v2 happening here in the mid lane. Not sure exactly why. Ruler maybe just trying to test his might as he's just running straight at him. Let's take another look at how this team fight happened, though.
Effort starts the fight with 300 HP and things just starting awful, but you can see Gen.G, they don't have the best angles of approach into this T1 team comp. So Kana gets into the backline, he goes golden, Tom goes golden as well, but the fight just starts getting pretty chaotic. Equalizer almost actually finished off at the very back end. Clit eventually goes on to Kana, but there's no answer to Teddy and Faker inside of this fight.
Yeah. You just watch the Cassiopeia the entire time. She's basically full health. She was the perfect 5th pick, as you were talking about, as she's so good at disengaging, and she's going to scale like a mad woman, I suppose, a mad snake, as the game comes along.
So right now at this stage of the game, you see Nautilus, he has Proto Belt, he's going Zanya's Hourglass next, but he's almost the same thing as a support Nautilus. That's a big mouth. It's a whole lot of
Sir
catfish.
Thomas, yeah.
No, it's Tim now. I had to remove his...
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Why? What happened?
He just doesn't belong anymore.
Oh, okay. So he's not a Sir.
He's not a Sir anymore.
Wow. He got D-knighted?
He got D-knighted,
I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah, well, it wasn't a thing, but we had to make it a thing. So,
yeah.
It's just how it is. Now you can see he's working as a chef right now on Gen.G.
He's kind of lame now, eh?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. It's just how it is.
It's not the same anymore.
But Nautilus, imagine it's support Nautilus with the support item changes, allowing you to get to another item in addition to the support item faster because of the changes in preseason. It would basically be the same thing. What is the difference between a level 12 Nautilus and a level 10 right now? Not really that much. So this is one of my gripes with Nautilus in mid lane when the enemy team just outscales you and you don't have a lot of ways to set anything up. T1, again, look at all their items. They continue to get meaningful pickups. Rumble, he does have the Rylite and Leandries. It does, in fact, deal amplified damage to slowed targets. Nemesis didn't quite know that last week. Had to... I mean, Fnatic mid laners, you know.
I wonder how many pro players don't know things about the game.
Apparently a lot about Morelos.
There are a lot of things in League of Legends that just kind of go unnoticed. You know what I mean? Like small effects built into the item or the champion that you're just like, oh, it's an ability that slows and it does damage over time or something. But you don't know that it also gives 5%, or 20% reduce armor and magic resist, right? There's this like extra little effect that a lot of people just don't realize.
I think there's also a lot of people that don't know about Athene's Unholy Grail. Gives AP based on mana regen, for instance. Yep. So there's definitely some very subtle things on items that not a lot of people know about, but obviously it's really important. So
especially Leandries.
With
the slow. Like,
yeah, Leandry is one of the best items in the game, but
hey, your boy Rascal has picked it up.
He does have it.
Yeah, he's got the combo.
No, he's not a sinner with Morello.
Yeah, no. No, actually, no sinners in this game.
No sinners in this game.
Nobody
all
has
honest,
gone for Morello.
Yeah, all honest gentlemen.
I feel like against Aatrox Cassiopeia, it's not that bad, though.
There's not enough... I suppose Rumble could get it because he's going to be the only one that can actually reach Cassio and apply the Morello debuff, but even then...
Still not worth it.
I think it's very thin. This game, you could maybe entertain it, but I think the two that he has right now, I think getting Rabadon's Death Cap next would probably just be ideal because you need to just break SK. You need to break T1. It's really hard.
I know.
Valdez, it's really hard. You need to just break T1 in one fell swoop.
Yeah.
You don't have time to take a sustained fight because that's what they want.
Yeah. And it's not like they have something like a Vladimir that is, you need to reduce his healing at all costs. It's just residual, small amounts here and there on the side of the Aatrox. And
Xayah did pick up a Bloodthirster, though.
Yeah.
So
that would...
If there would be a time to get Morel and Omicron on a Rumble, this would be it. But it's certainly by no means an item that you just rush.
Yeah, you don't also have to get it in this case.
Hypothetically, had he rushed it, and Xayah just elects not to build Bloodthirster, or something like that, then you don't get as much return. Now, also another interesting point is that I guess there's even more incentive to actually get it right now, because T1 is staring down Ocean Soul. So reducing the healing on that in addition to the healing they have on everything else, I think there's even an argument to sell that needlessly large rod and try to get that Morellonomicon.
Finally a game where it makes sense.
All right, that's my PayPal I just wrote down right there, so.
Twitch Prime, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's the 1 out of 100 games where it actually does kind of make sense this time around. So I'm glad we actually.
I wouldn't go that far. 1 out of 100.
It's an acceptable item choice.
1 out of 200. Maybe.
Okay, okay, I see what you mean.
All right, here we go.
Engage right onto Teddy, but he's easily able to get out of that one as effort is going to be burst down. Kana, though, into the back line, trying to chase him down, but having trouble doing so. They turn onto the Nautilus, but he's going to take a bunch of damage. Kana goes down, and Gen.G are winning this fight. Everybody going to dodge that Faker ultimate, but he is just unkillable in the back line. Ruler going to have to be devoured up here, has incredible life gain himself, and is trying to lock down Faker, nearly able to do so, as Rascal going to be flashed upon, nearly going to get the kill, but Cuz just going to stopwatch at the last moment and get away. And the one thing from that fight we're beginning to learn is that Ruler actually does a bit of damage in these fights, especially if they can get broken up.
Yeah, and I mean, it's another extremely bloody team fight by both parties. Teddy!
Oh boy, Teddy is just going man mode so far. Flashes over the wall, not quite able to make it happen, but he pushes Ruler back, who is trying to desperately get that life gain right now off the blue, but there's just too many members right now from T1 onto that Baron, and they will take it down at 28 minutes.
Yeah, and I mean, at this point, this Baron is going to convert into Ocean Soul capture. This game is all but over, Valdez. At this point, with Baron, with the team composition advantage, with item advantage, with level advantage, everything is in T1's favor right now. I honestly can't see a way for Gen.G to come back. You look at all their items, what are they trying to complete towards right now? Nautilus, he has a Negatron cloak, congratulations.
They were just engaging, by the way, before this replay.
Yeah, live right now, we can actually...
Look at Faker, he's all alone.
Yeah.
And
he's gone.
You talked about one way to get back in the game. This is to do it. Mistakes that happen as 2 pickoffs are going to come in here. Thankfully for T1, Ocean isn't for 2 minutes. Otherwise, Gen.G could rotate down, but still, this is going to help them get some objectives here. We'll see if it can be enough to come back in this one. As still T1 in a commanding lead, but the push is coming straight down mid.
So this is actually going to nullify Baron entirely. You see the death timer still on Kana and Faker. And by the time they end up respawning, there's only about 1.5 minutes left in Baron. The time that it takes the minions and these champions to go from base, Baron buff the minions, and then push into the opponents, the Baron buff's just going to end up expiring. So T1 just lost Baron for virtually no reason. Now, they're still ahead in the game. They're still going to be able to fight over Ocean Soul, but obviously that is it's a very, very, very big blunder. So you look at the minimap right here, and you have to ask yourself, well, why is Faker here right now? And he can't really do anything. And then Kana, I mean, he wanted to be with his friends, so he felt compelled.
I'm coming, Faker Young. I'm coming to save you.
By a cosmic force right there to try to engage onto Clid. He ended up dying shortly thereafter. Nonetheless, they have 2 Baron waves that they can push with, so nothing meaningful is really going to be achieved, unless Gen.G just equally feel compelled by a cosmic force to try to take a straight-up team fight. But T1 just get the Ocean Soul and the game ends.
Yeah, we've had 2 fights in a row that honestly were not clean for T1. They are ahead, and I feel like they should group up and act as if they're ahead. Take a safe Ocean Soul and try to then scale up and win the game. But if you keep getting picked off and having these fights that are just really messy, to say the least, then you're not going to have a fun time. TP coming in now.
It's over. Oh.
They don't get there on time?
Oh, it's over, though. They end up getting the Ocean Dragon. Look at the base levels, by the way, on the side of T1. It is 3 levels in mid lane, 2 levels in 80 carry. that is so big, it's not even funny, because you think about the base stats on each of these champions, not just the skill points. It's hundreds of HP.
Yeah.
It's resistances. It's so many things that normally people don't really consider when approaching a fight. But this is so easy now. It's smooth scaling for T1 in this
I like
game.
that. It's not smooth sailing, it's smooth scaling.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah,
That's really nice. And yeah, we've seen this multiple times. And this is a perfect example of it. You know, the team that had the comp, that had the responsibility to do something early, was not able to do so. They tried, but they couldn't get enough of a lead, and in fact got behind because T1 was able to handshake and just slow down the game and essentially not make enough mistakes to throw it early. And they have got themselves now in a position where they have Xayah with 4 items, 4.5 items, and a massive bounty on her head. They have Cassiopeia, which is the obvious one, and smooth scaling is the name of the game.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? There's no Morello, and it doesn't even look like Rascal is actually building towards it. There's an Executioners on Ruler.
Finally.
But that's all that they have for it. All right, Nautilus, he picked up a stone plate. Congratulations. As T1, I mean, they're just going to laugh at it if he's on top of them trying to apply CC, because the Ocean Soul is going to be way too strong. Aatrox, probably very close to a Guardian Angel. I would... well, he thinks that he's getting collapsed on, so he ended up teleporting.
They didn't have vision.
Yeah.
That's another win that is going to go the way of T1 just by them maneuvering around the map.
Now, I really do like what T1 is doing. They're not recklessly trying to shove up and dive a tier 2 turret and then get defensive equalizer underneath the turret. They're waiting until the Baron is going to be up. They're manipulating the side lanes to be favorable for them. And then they're just going to capture the Baron. And then with the Baron, they should be able to end the game. And if they can't, they'll get Elder Dragon. And honestly, Elder Dragon is a bit like Exodia. Right now, it's...
Oh, dude, it's so incredibly strong.
Takes some effort to lose the game once you have it.
Yeah. We saw a couple of games early on in the KeSPA Cup where a team picked it up, and it was kind of a first look in pro play, and we're like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's quite a... yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those drinks. And now T1, they're looking for an engage. They're going to try to find Ruler. They find the support. Big equalizer, as a bunch of damage will come down, and now they disengage. Slows coming in. There's the Cocoon. They finally find one, but Clid able to get underground and get to safety to his bunker, essentially. And nobody is going to get caught. Not sure exactly why T1 trying to force a fight right here as the Baron is coming up. They're going to go for the Baron now as Teddy trying to chip away at BDD, and he is going to survive. That Nautilus not doing too much now at 35 minutes. Rascal now looking to come across the top side. Massive missile as Teddy does take a bunch of damage, but is still going to survive. As even Ruler takes a couple pot shots, but it isn't enough to take down effort as TP comes in. But Rascal, he's too low. The flash is gonna miss. And in goes Faker over the wall with the TP. He's looking for Ruler. Not able to get on top of him, but it does not matter. The destruction is too large now for the side of T1. They take down the Baron, and they are going to wipe Gen.G off the map. It's only Ruler that's left available, and Faker doesn't look like he wants to go down without a fight. He's getting in there as he's going to eventually take him down, finding that last member, and the push will come in to end the game.
And that's going to be it for game number 1. I mean, try as you might, doesn't really matter. That's going to be it. The Nexus is going to explode T1 off to a very good start here in game number 1. They won the draft very heavily.
Oh, yeah.
And then in the game, the responsibility, the ask on the side of Gen.G, due to the hole that they dug themselves in, and the pick ban, a little bit too high of a tall order. Kana starting off that the early game with the outplay on the dive attempt. Nothing could ever really be salvaged, and then you can't just go even with that Gen.G team comp. They were never able to really recover.
Yeah, it was an interesting idea from Gen.G, as you said early on in the game, that I kind of liked. They had the responsibility to make big moves and get far ahead in the early game, but they were not able to do that at all. And in fact, they botched a bunch of tries where they were trying to do exactly that.
T1 likewise were making a lot of decision-making errors by trying to force fights before it was needed. And the last one you can definitely make an argument for. They try to take a fight in a wide open terrain to try to get the equalizer out there rather than in the condensed area of the river around the Baron. So you could see that one, but even though they were fighting some of the fights down a member because effort was getting deleted so much, the power inside of the Cassiopeia and the Xayah just so strong for them that it thematically answered everything Gen.G was trying to do.
Absolutely. T1 able to get ahead in the draft and even in the play. Kana, a good first look here. I'd say that a bunch of his later game team fights were a bit shaky. Maybe he was a bit nervous, you know. I'd like to give him the benefit of the doubt, but a great outplay early on in the game that got his team into a good spot. You'll see this dive, Gen.G, right? They're trying to be proactive. The idea is not bad, but it ends up being not so great as Faker trades a kill back. And then T1 wins this fight here, where you were talking about how they're not necessarily looking to force fights, but Faker is really the one who just puts on the carry pants and says, well, I'm a full health Cassiopeia and my champion is amazing against your comp. Let me kite you down and create so much space for my team that even though we don't want to fight early, we still can in this specific case.
I mean, again, right here, no one can approach him in any of the team fights, as well as no one can get onto Xayah. And so it's a problem time and time again that, again, the word responsibility, it's going to be one that I'm going to use a lot in 2020 because it accurately describes the situation that teams are in. Gen.G have to somehow find ways to do something, and it's too tall an order, especially because it requires T1 to make mistakes. It requires them to mess up in order for them to even answer such asks.
This is never what you want. You don't want your win condition to be, I hope the enemy team makes mistakes. You want it to be, oh no, we've got a good comp that can go late and can scale, or, you know, we have the tools possible to make enough plays early on against what the enemy team has, and we've, you know, positioned ourselves in the draft late enough to the point where they couldn't counter us in the draft, like the 5th pick Cassiopeia did so well in this game. I mean, Faker, this kind of felt like he was just having so much fun on the Rift. Like, he was never really in danger outside of the one time where he got caught. He was just like rolling around, doing a ton of damage. At the end of the day, Teddy did unbelievable damage and was a pretty big menace in these fights. He did pick up the MVP. I think I would have given it to Faker, but I can see the Teddy MVP here. So I'm not, you know, I've had some strong words to say in the past about other MVPs choices. We'll see if I have some more later on. But either way, lots of damage from Gen.G, but it's not enough to win them the game as T1 come ahead 1-0. We'll see you after the break.
On the battlefield, dominate your competition with the infrared beam. And if that's not enough, experience real rapid-fire action with the Gel Bead Blaster. With the included interactive curriculum, anyone can learn how to code, teach it to move, recognize shapes, and a whole lot more.
안녕하세요. The Lion, The Tiger 장민철입니다.
크리템입니다.
정규 시즌 1위 했었던 T1 만나보도록 하겠습니다. 제일 큰 이슈가 7년 동안 지휘봉 잡았던 김정균 감독이 나가면서 이거 누가 대체할 것이냐. 진짜 많은 이야기들이 있었거든요.
대체가 되냐?
네. 근데 김정수 감독이 들어오면서 팬들도 대체로 김정균
요즘
대신
제일 잘 나가는 CF
네.
약간
김정수면은 괜찮지. 또 이름도 두 글자 같고.
그렇네.
네, 그래서 그러니까 이제 진짜 유명한 T1 식당의 셰프가 나갔는데 딱 1년만 일하는 셰프가 여기에 단연 계약으로 취직을 했어요. 그렇다는 거는 네, 이 식당을 제대로 운영해보겠다는 의지가 보이는 선택이었고 이제 뭐 임혜성 코치라든지 김지환 코치까지 이제 영입을 하면서 다 셰프가 원해서 데려왔다는 소문이 있더라고요. 뭐 확실하진 않지만 소문이
어차피
있어요.
총 지휘관이
네.
결국 다 이렇게 구성하는 거니까요.
그러니까요. 솔직히 말하면 롤드컵에서의 T1은 칸과 클리드가 굉장히 돋보였거든요. 근데 그 둘이 나갔다는 거는 이제 팀적으로도 많이 바뀐 게 사실이고 오치와 커즈가 팬들의 기대치를 만족시킬 수 있을까? 이런 시선들이 많거든요. 이게 음식으로 따지면은 약간 진짜 잘 나가던 불고기집이었는데 확 바꿔버린 거죠.
고기가 바뀌었다.
양념을 바꿨어.
양념.
고기는 그대로야. 페이커, 테디, 주요 딜러들.
네.
사실 불고기라는 게요. 먹어보면 알겠지만 양념이 되게 중요하거든요.
다잘 먹을 것 같은데 지금 말하.
아니에요.
이러는 줄 알았어.
불고기라는 게 진짜 양념이 너무 중요해요. 이게 양념이 맛없으면 먹기 싫어져요. 로치와 커즈라는 양념이 새로 들어왔고 다른
양념 양념이 원래 있었잖아. 코치진에
네.
또.
근데 이게
바뀌고.
없어지고 김정수 셰프가 들어와서 비법 양념을 만들어야 되는데 이 양념이 얼마나 잘 쳐질 것이냐. 고기는 최상급 고기예요. 근데 불고기라는 게 그냥 구워 먹으면 고기가 맛있지만 불고기라는 거는 양념이 70%이기 때문에 얼마나 양념이 잘 쳐질지 또 기대가 되고 동물로 비유를 해볼까요?
저 동물로 치면 또 우리 안 나왔잖아. 우리 장민철 사자가 안 나왔잖아. 그런 점에서 사자인데 사자가 호랑이랑 가장 큰 차이점이 뭔지 알아요? 사자는 무리 생활을 해요. 호랑이는 단독 생활을 하고 이게 진짜 큰 거예요. 진짜 사자는 실제로 사냥도 무리 사냥을 한단 말이에요. 애초에 또 부락을 이끌고 다니고
네.
근데 난 단독이고 그래서 그 T1이라는 사자야 일단 스펙은 사자가 맞는데 다른 부락으로 간 거지.
그러면
거기서 이제 새로 맞추는 거야. 새로
아.
새로 이제 시스템을 맞추고 새로 정비하고 사냥도 다시 이제 다니고 사자인 건 난 맞다고 생각해 여전히. 근데 그 사자의 그 집단 시스템상 이게 바뀌는 건 꽤 큰 거거든요. 되게.
저는 늑대.
늑대도 무리 생활하니까.
근데 늑대는 좀 다른 게 사자는 센 수컷만 따르잖아요 대부분. 근데 늑대는 그 리더십 있는 늑대, 세기도 하지만 리더십 있는
되게
늑대를
똑똑해, 그
네,
리더도.
많이 따른다고 하더라고요. 그리고 전술적으로 이제 잘 움직이기 때문에 말도 잘 듣고 하는 늑대들이. 그래서 스펙은 사자야. 근데 두뇌는 늑대.
분명히 그러니까 우리가 얘기하는 공통점이 뭐겠어요? 여전히 세긴 셀 것 같은데 많이 바뀌어서 이제는 새로 적응하고 새로 많이 바뀔 거다 이런 거잖아요.
그렇죠. 그러니까
변수가
이게
많아졌다. 우리가 지금 딱 직설적으로 얘기해서 탑 정글이잖아요. 그럼 선수로 치면 탑은 확실히 좀 부족할 수 있다고 보고요. 정글은 그래도 남아있는 선수들 중에서 커즈 정도면 그래도 제일 잘 데려왔다.
맞아요.
그러니까 클리드 빈자리를 뭐 누가 오든 완벽하게 메울 거다 더 잘할 거다 얘기하기는 어려운데
그건 어렵죠.
커즈면 그래도 되게 보여준 것도 많고
그러면 갈기 빠진 사자로 하죠.
갈기가 그게 사자를 상징하는 널 상징하는 게 갈기야.
그러니까 뭐 암사자는 갈기.
너 지금 머리 다 밀면 괜찮아?
군대 가면 어차피 밀어야 돼요. 키 플레이어를 뽑아볼 건데요.
그냥 전 이어서 그럼 커즈로 가는 거예요. 그러니까 저 개인적으로도 클리드 역할이 너무 컸다고 생각하거든요.
그렇죠.
너무 핵심이었고 진짜 잘했고 항상 뭔가 주요 소방수 역할을 많이 했었는데 이제 그 바뀐 역할을 그럼 또 다른 방식으로 풀어갈 수 있는 거잖아요.
그렇죠.
커즈가 그리고 진짜 잘하는 선수라고 생각하고 로얄 롤더 출신이기도 하고
맞아요. 킹존 일대.
또 요즘도 막 솔랭 가끔 관전해도 허리 돌리는 엑사이 여전히 막 명품이고 메타랑도 잘 맞아요.
그렇죠.
기대합니다.
저는 오히려 로치. 이게 어느 정도는 부담감을 가지는 것도 있거든요.
그렇죠.
내가 선수였어도 내가 막 게이머로서 뭐 보여준 게 없는데 칸의 자리를 이어야
애초에
돼.
또 T1에
그렇고 T1.
그 음식점에 지금
네,
또
이게 단골 손님이 얼마나 많은데.
그러니까 그 말 잘했다. 완전
네.
단골 손님.
단골 손님 많은데 이거 딱.
근데 딱 약간 맛이 바뀌었네?
어?
이 느낌이 근데 좋아야 되니까.
그러니까 맛이 바뀌었네? 근데 맛 없어. 그러면 바로 주인장 나와 다 진짜 막 다 이거 숟가락 이렇게 때리면서 뭐냐고 주방장 왜 바꿨냐고 나오거든요. 식재료 왜 바꿨냐고. 로치라는 식재료가 이제는 좀 정체성을 찾아야 돼요. 네, 그리고 좀 가능성은 보이는 게 반반은 잘해요. 라인전 이기는 거는 힘들 수 있는데 지금 메타가 반반만 잘해도 되는 메타이기 때문에 반반은 잘한다. 반반을 넘어서서 이제는 라인전을 이겨야 되는 키플레이어로 봐야 되지 않을까. 순위 예상해볼게요. 저는 4강. 덜도 말고 저도 말고 딱 4강. 왜냐면 아직은
좀 잘해야 돼.
우승권 탑솔로는 아닌 것 같다.
현실적으로.
그러니까 이게 담원이나 젠지에 비해서 로스터가 완성된 느낌은 아니다. 근데 몰라요. 만약에 캐스파컵에서 진짜 각성해가지고 노구리 때려잡고 다 때려잡으면 또 우승할 수 있는 거죠.
저도 지금 단계에서 우승권은 좀 어려운 것 같아요. 그리고 좀 극단적으로 꼬이면 더 안 좋을 수도 있고. 근데 지금 여기 완전 시드권 팀들은
그러니까 어차피 탈락해도 8강이니까
어차피 높은 곳에서 가니까. 그래서
이게 좋네.
좀 애매한 4강? 이렇게.
애매한 4강.
Welcome back, guys. We are here at the KeSPA Cup, live at the Nexon Arena. It's Gen.G versus T1. Two of the best teams that we do have here in Korea so far on paper, and T1 proving so far that they are the better team, up 1-0 in the series. Just having a much better draft phase and able to outplay them even in the game. And now we are going to have a bit of a sub-arena here as Kellen makes his way into the lineup, and Life will be kicked to the bench for game 2.
I guess you could say that he lost his life.
Wow.
That game. That was very. That was actually.
That was dark.
That was terrible. That was actually.
You're a terrible person. I can't believe it, LS.
Faker's not
Sorry,
amused
sorry.
with you.
I'm sorry.
He was not amused.
That was harsh.
Yeah, that's all right.
Yeah. It's okay, but Ruler, he's kind of the veteran in the lineup. Perhaps he was like, no, next. Give me the next support. I want someone else. And at the end of the day, I feel like Life on Tom Kench, it wasn't necessarily really his fault that they lost the game or anything like that, but perhaps they want to give Kellen a chance, at least here in game 2.
Yeah. Well, we're jumping right into it. Gen.G banning the Cassiopeia. Now remember, the thing is that T1 on R5, and for those that might not know, I'm referring to Red Pick 5, they had so many options. It wasn't just the Cassiopeia. So if they draft in a similar manner, they can still find themselves in the same problem. Hi, Xayah now. These were the problems.
Yeah.
No.
It's not like there are over 100 champions in League of Legends that can do similar things to the ones that are being banned right now. But Gen.G, we're not happy with Teddy and Faker on those, and they're not happy with MF.
But Lucian is making it so far, so is Syndra. Actually,
welcome
is
to
that?
the Nexon Arena. A couple of T1 fans.
Yeah, just a couple of T1 fans.
Yeah.
Not quite sure who, but
never seen those people before. But yes, welcome
on.
down. Welcome down to the studio. Great to have you. Was talking with them before.
yeah,
And-
they helped me. They helped me become League Supreme.
Yes, they
On
did.
Twitter.
They helped you out. Hey, I did as well.
I couldn't have done
I
it.
put my work
Yeah.
in. I put in my tweet.
Their help was more akin to Gandalf.
Okay, that's true.
You're sort
yeah.
of like the dwarf.
Yeah.
You know?
Wow. I can't believe you'd say that.
It's all right. You're always Legolas in my eyes.
Yes, thank you.
All right, so we're having a mirror pick 1, which worries me because it might mean that Gen.G's conclusion when they went backstage was, yes, it was the Xayah and Cassiopeia, not the champion. There's so many other champions
Composition.
that could have done a similar thing to them. And I remember I was listing off some of them, so this isn't real. So Elise and Varus locked in right now for T1. Mundo being hovered, which is very peculiar. If they actually go and lock in Nautilus and Rumble here, we're going to have some issues. Valdez, that's even worse.
How about
Valdez?
Timmy? Timmy's making his way back. Oh, boy. So, maybe this is a response to the Varus. You can pick your Tahm Kench Senna. So, I'm not saying it's a good idea. I'm just saying that in Gen.G's mind, they're like, okay, we can pick it earlier, and we can pick away the Tahm Kench from Tahm Kench Varus.
All of the mage supports right now ruin what Gen.G has drafted on B1, 2, and 3. Every single mage support destroys
Koreans still play mage supports.
But of course not. We're gonna have a handshake here. We're gonna get Nautilus, or we're gonna have Rakan, Nautilus, or maybe Braum.
Hey, Varus Braum, that's a good bot lane. That's high tier, LS.
I can't deal with it. I really can't.
We were having this discussion earlier on where it seems like Koreans love to draft high tier rather than like to their compositions. And
yes, and if you've ever played interestingly enough, I was talking about this with you before the broadcast.
Yeah.
There's formats in trading card games that are actually around limited card selection. In Magic, you have limited, which is draft. In Hearthstone, you have arena. I'm unsure if Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh have similar formats, but in those modes, there's sometimes ladders on Magic Online or obviously Hearthstone, which I don't think has a ladder, but there are certain people that can get very high rated, and there's a reason for that. Yeah. Even though players in Constructed are professionals or very good, they might not excel at Limited. And so drafting is very similar to that. It's very akin to it, but instead what we see is just power picks get picked left and right and center. And like I was saying last draft, unironically, Aatrox made his way through. And it's the perception of what is going on is very interesting. So
it feels like something you would do at the beginning of an undiscovered game, right? It's like, oh, this champion seems really high level. And they do that every patch.
Right.
Where it's like, on this patch, this is, they load up LS's tier list, and they're like, hey, I see
There's
this
no
is
Annie
S
here.
tier. Yeah. Let's pick this on this patch. And they're gonna ban away Aatrox, and then Rumble is the pick here. So they're stacking actually a lot of magic damage so far. You'd have to imagine that they'll have to pick something that can counter somewhere with some 80 on the side of T1. Here's their last pick.
All right, well, Rumble being locked in is on theme with the Elise, but T1 is a bit all over the place right now with their draft. Gen.G going to round this out now with Ryze Mordekaiser. So Mordekaiser does have a way of stifling some of T1's champions right now, and Ryze is obviously fantastic at short quarter combat. So interestingly right now, Gen.G, the ones up currently with the leg in draft, and T1, they're going to pick another champion that dives onto Gen.G. So even though they're staying on theme, it does come at a cost where now Gen.G, they have the invert to last game. Ryze is going to be able to conduct himself similar to how Cassiopeia was. Mordekaiser, you're jumping on him now. So he's going to be able to proc his passive. His ultimate is going to demand that some of T1's champions stunt their build. And now Gen.G, interestingly enough, they have the champions with more scaling thematically. So it's going to be really interesting. Now, can Cuz on this Elise manage to accelerate any of the champions? If Rumble gets ahead, yeah, he's really obnoxious. If Camille gets ahead, she can turn into a win condition. She can eventually get to a point where she runs through Mordekaiser, but now T1 are in the same responsibility as Gen.G was in Game 1. And is Cuz going to be able to pull through? Because the responsibility's on them now.
Well, we saw that Khalid kind of failed to pull off that 2-on-1 in the dive in game number 1. Can Cuz do the opposite here in red side in game number 2 is a big question. Lots of pressure on to Cuz. We'll see if he can do it here as we jump onto the rift for game number 2. See, the Gen.G fan did it again. I feel like he has to elongate his cheerlead, the beginning of it, so that everybody can kind of get on the same page. If you're just like, Hana, do it, nobody's gonna be able to follow that up all in the same time. But he
did it.
He lengthened it a little bit. Okay, he improved. We're all about improvement here. And do you feel like the drafting overall has improved in game number 2? Or are you still kind of no?
We're hitting blanks.
Okay.
I know I'm negative Nick about this, okay?
Negative Nick.
That's what you can call me. I'm not quite negative Nancy, but
okay.
We're arriving at final team comps by chance, regardless of who has the edge. That is very apparent. So, sort of like picking Hearthstone cards at random and then having an overpowered deck. Sometimes that just ends up happening. So, in game number 1, it was T1, and now game number 2, Gen.G have the edge the longer that the game ends up going.
So,
although Rumble, he will be strong.
Yeah.
Obviously, Ryze isn't as nimble as Cassiopeia.
So, we were talking a little bit about the game state and the Dragons in game number 1. We didn't mention too much about the Rift Heralds either, but just in general, do you feel like the game now on this new patch in the preseason favors the scaling comps still? Because I feel
even
like
more.
I feel like your opinion from 2019 was that scaling comps were king.
So what typically ends up happening is that in spring season, everyone's still getting into the groove. They're coming out, and much better teams, and I'm talking about the highest ends, LEC, LCS, LCK, LPL, the best teams in the region can pick whatever they want and still win games. Because their players and their cohesion is so much better than the opponents that it doesn't really matter all that much about the drafts. And this can mislead people when teams like G2 or Fnatic or teams like Team Liquid, or if T1 or of earlier this year, Griffin, DAMWON, pick very aggressive comps and blow games open wide and accelerate really fast. But come summer, come the end of summer, Gauntlet, Worlds,
yeah.
You can't get away with the same stuff. And mid-rangey type of team compositions and scaling becomes a lot more apparent and obvious, and it was something I harped on all throughout Worlds, on Twitter, stream, whatever.
Yeah.
And now we're here. The changes to preseason, turret plates got hit, turrets got tankier, dragons suck. Everything is sort of aligning even more so.
There's 2 Rift Heralds, though.
Oh, yeah. and one can't even actually be used against turret plates.
Well, we got some action here trying to knock up Teddy as he is all alone in there. The Devourer comes in as Effort not able to sufficiently defend. Another knockup gonna come in. Effort will be forced to flash away from that one. And with the TP coming on in now, Killen going for one last lick. And will get away either way. As a nice little gank there early on at about 3.5 minutes to get Gen.G on the board.
Yeah, they got the ball rolling. And remember, they're the ones that have the luxury. They have less responsibility on them to make things happen. And so starting off with an advantage is obviously going to be really big, because in response to what happened bottom, he's going to steal away, or attempt to anyway, all of the blue side jungle here, but Klid's about to come over the wall.
Sees him all the way. Cuz is going to hit level 4 and confidently is going to strut out in spider form there, not scared of the Rek'Sai that he saw coming a mile away.
Meanwhile, up here in top lane, Kana doing pretty okay in the CS department right now. Has a 11 CS lead, and this is really early on, and I think they're going to stockpile, they're going to stockpile 2 waves, and then try to crash on Rascal, but...
Even Faker's coming up.
Yeah. Okay, Rascal doesn't seem to be sniffing this out. There's no pings. And it looks like Rek'Sai is clicked on the right side of the map, so I don't think anyone knows this is about to happen. I also can't see what BDD is doing, but he's
Look at Rascal trying desperately to stop the wave, and he's doing it, but is it going to be enough? He's going to flash away, and Rascal is going to get away from 3 members diving him. Can he now, though, is the question as the flash comes in. And that is going to be the end of the game for Rascal as he survived for quite a while up there. Did a nice job, but it wasn't enough.
And the thing about this is that Faker, he has teleport available. BDD was out of mana, couldn't crash super quickly. And so after he recalls, he's going to be able to teleport. Love what Effort's doing, checking on the Dragon. That would obviously be a response from Gen.G, and I'm really surprised that they didn't do it. They saw when T1 was starting top, Clid could go over the wall, and Dragons are a lot weaker. They're a lot easier to take now. And so with BDD being able to just come back, yes, Faker has TP, but maybe a little bit of lost opportunity there. And so the game is going to be almost even now in gold, but remember, T1, they have to do something.
Ooh, Faker trying to go 1v2, lays down that equalizer. Now he's on the run, and Clid, a level 4 Rek'Sai, is going to be quite squishy, so they decide not to follow up on that one. Faker, with no flash, actually used it in the gank up top side, so that's why they were trying to get that gank down, but Faker hitting level 6 is going to have much higher use than just a Realm Warp out of the Rise in a straight-up skirmish in the mid lane.
Yeah, and Cuz able to find out where Clid is right now. He's also up a level, and so he's just latching onto him. Teleport.
TP coming in here as they get the lockdown onto Effort. He does not have this. The Realm Warp now coming on in, getting everybody in the mix, and Gen.G is going to shut down 2 members just like that. T1 not able to back away in time, and they get punished in the bot lane.
And this means that they should be able to convert this into an Infernal Drake captured. Faker doesn't have Equalizer, but instead, Clid's actually just going to go over to his red. Teddy didn't have TP. A little bit surprising, but they're not investing into it. As BDD is going to run back into mid lane right now. Faker looking for any wards, as we can see on the minimap. I think T1 are actually going to get the Infernal Dragon, so this is a bit weird. Now remember, it's not as big as previous Dragons. Just take a look at Rumble right now. 77 AD, 22 AP. He got 1 AP.
23.
Oh man, that's a Keck W moment right there if I've ever seen one.
Yeah.
But got a little bit of AD. As we can just see, Cuz can't really do anything here. Really interesting that he even chose to path into that. He ended up having to blow his flash. And now Gen.G, they're the ones with the gold lead. They have to just make sure that they don't lose out on every single dragon.
Yeah, generally not a good idea. If that happens and the enemy team gets 4, then they're going to get a Dragon Soul of some sort. And we are looking at either a Ocean Dragon Soul or a Cloud Dragon Soul. So we could have one of these teams picking up the 2 of them. And you mentioned how important the Ocean Soul was for T1 with their scaling comp in game number 1. What about here in game 2?
For both parties, Ocean is really, really, really obnoxious. If either of these teams get Ocean, it helps both of them conduct themselves against one another. Cloud Dragon Soul doesn't really do all that much, although I guess it's a little bit better for Gen.G. Mostly because Rascal on that Mordekaiser, just being able to have access to it so often, the Death Realm could definitely be obnoxious.
Trying to set up a play here on Takana.
It's really hard.
Yeah.
And this is also so surprising. Clid is actively looking to make things happen, but the onus isn't on him or his teammates. And again, it's the responsibility word. Rise just needs to basically go even. Mordekaiser just needs to go even. Senna and Sir Tom, or Tim down there in bottom just needs to go even. And because of this, look at Clid. He's trying to force stuff that doesn't need to happen when his champions are already better, or his teammates' champions. And so he's going to be slow to the blue. He's going to be slow to his golem, slow to his raptors. Effort and Teddy, they're just trying to shove in bottom. 2.5 minutes until Mountain Dragon, but we saw what it meant in game number 1. Doesn't really do anything.
Yeah, it's pretty much absolutely nothing. I know Absolute has a...
Only Sith steal and Absolutes.
That's why I said pretty much, because definitely a light side cast here, at least from my side. I have to keep the balance in the Force, as you're basically
Sith. Right here.
as Sith as it gets.
Yeah, the rule of 2.
Yeah. You gonna see that new Star Wars movie?
You know what? You're actually invited.
Am I invited? I didn't see the last one.
There's 8 people at my house right now, by the way, all the pro players. But
okay, I was hoping to tilt you with that. But
we're gonna bring Max. You're welcome to come too.
Okay. What about Seth? You didn't invite him?
Oh, is he still gonna be here?
Seth?
Yeah. I don't know what his schedule is.
Yeah, I mean, I assume in January 8th that he should be around.
Yeah, we're all going.
Yeah.
We're all going.
We're all going. Okay.
Who's your favorite Jedi or Sith from the movies or comics?
Again, so I didn't see the last movie, so I don't really. I heard there was like a new Jedi, but is it that
What, you like Kylo Ren?
Well, I don't really know much about him. I only saw the first one in the sequels.
Okay.
He seemed like a little bit of a crybaby. Wasn't my favorite, actually. Yeah. Who's the other Jedi? Who's like his counterpart?
Rey.
Oh,
girl?
she's a Jedi?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Well, I don't know if I don't know if she has the title.
Oh, okay.
But
so it's like some kind of gray area?
I don't know, actually, about the movies. Like, Finn wields a lightsaber, too.
Really?
In the first one. Oh, we gotta fight.
Look at this. We got a Death Realm Kana. Can he get away from this one is the question, as, well, Rascal not willing to get in range of that one. Flash comes in, but the deny from Kana. Just laughing at him as Rascal flashed into that one. But so did Kana. So at the end of the day, trading the flashes and the ultimates come in. But Mordekaiser is going to have the push advantage and no TP here for Kana in the top lane.
And Mountain Dragon's coming up in 15 seconds. So we'll have to see what ends up happening there. Also, interesting, Faker with the Oblivion Orb and a blasting one. It would be a real shame if I saw him purchase a certain book.
First item.
I would actually really hope that the gods of Summoner Rift would just punish him with a Cloud Soul, so there's not even an argument about Ocean Drakes.
Oh, Faker, you're in a bit of trouble getting hunted down by the Rek'Sai, but he's, just barely going to go down as he goes over the wall, as everybody collapses in, even Ruler from downtown helping out with that ultimate, and it will pick up that first kill onto Faker.
Well, in doing so, they're going to use this Rift Herald. This Rise is going to get so big. Valdez, it's really early, but I'm going to call the game.
Okay. Okay, so 13 minutes, 19 seconds.
Yeah.
That's a bit earlier than last game. Last game was about 28 minutes when he called it.
This one is definitely looking really, really, really rough.
Boy.
Yeah, he's dead too. So the reason that I'm willing to call it, even though it's a 2,000 gold advantage, the better scaling team comp has the 2,000 gold lead, and just everything I imagine is going to progressively get worse. And Mountain Dragon, it is kind of bad, but at least the team that actually builds resistances on some of their champions is the one getting it.
Yeah.
So I suppose in that regard, it does help out. And there's the Cloud Dragon, just to punish the Morello.
Yeah.
So Faker was sinning. He got caught.
Well, he hasn't built it yet, so he could change his mind.
You know it's coming.
Right? So how much is it? 550 to complete that item?
It's coming.
Was it 450?
Just wait until he recalls.
There's no.
All right, let's
he
take a
has
look.
the decision. He can make a decision not to make it.
Now, we have to wonder really where Cuz is going or why. They're never contesting Mountain Dragon, even if they were on it. So there it is. Moment of silence.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right, official moment of silence for Morel and
let me take a photo really quick. Hold on. I've been doing these on the cast lately. Yeah.
Oh boy.
I'm gonna make a. I don't even know.
We talked about game one, how it actually began to make more and more sense. Like the 1 out of 200 games where it's like, okay, Morel and Omicron, not a bad idea.
Yeah.
Where does this game rank compared to game one in terms of
This is something.
Morellonomicon.
For Morello. This is really something. So, for a lot of people that don't understand the criticism about Morellonomicon, first off, Liandry's Torment deals amplified damage. It gives you madness, 10% more damage on everything that you do, right? Gives 300 HP, gives the AP, gives the percentage HP burn. And then Rumble, his equalizer, turns out it's a pretty good item. Rumble also stacks Liandry's really fast.
Yep.
So, Oblivion Orb is the item that actually gives you the 200 HP and the Magic Pen and the AP. For a whopping 1,400 gold, you get 50 ability power and 100 HP and Grievous Wounds. But the enemy team, it has some healing in it. Sure, congratulations. You're going to deal way more with Liandry's.
Bit of a skirmish here on the bottom side. As you can see, because they were desperately trying to force that fight, but even Clid was coming down. So at the end of the day, you saw that T1 was like, no. The cocoon doesn't land. And now Rascal going in. Up on Takana once again. No flashes this time around. Is going to deny that one with his ultimate, but Rascal is going to be able to pick up the one-on-one in the top side. Mordekaiser getting stronger and stronger, and now picks up a solo kill here at 16 and a half minutes.
Mordekaiser's only going to keep getting stronger as well. As we're going to have to wait for the team fights. And Gen.G rolled really, really well with the Cloud Dragon. I mean, the RNG is definitely on their side. Having that available on Senna, if they can end up getting to it, as well as Mordekaiser, is going to be really big. And things just look really doomed for T1. So again, remember, I called it about 4 minutes ago.
You did. I mean, I'm keeping track. So it was about 13-18.
Well, we're going to take a look at the replay first as to what happened. That was obviously a really nice grip right there onto Kana. He tries to outplay it, actually dances forward needlessly. So obviously, he had a decision. He could have gone and done some things a little bit differently leading up to that trade, but ended up dying for it. So, again, in draft phase, we're able to outline the conditions of all the champions against one another, 5v5. And then we use the word responsibility to express what necessarily needs to happen in order for A team comp to be better than B team comp. And then all that you have to do is watch the first 8 or 10 minutes unfold. And oftentimes in pro play, one jungler is going to be getting screwed a lot harder than the other in terms of what do they need to do, what do they need to accomplish. And so, Cuz couldn't really do anything this game. And also bot lane starting off with the death, Teddy having to TP back early into the lane, being pressured as early on. Things just weren't going well, and so Gen.G, they're so far ahead right now. 4,000 gold really doesn't express it. It would probably be much better if it was like 6 or 8K on the screen to help people understand, but it's definitely very good. And you know what? I actually love what BDD built. He built a Banshee's Veil. He's making use of that Mountain Dragon even a little bit more, but it's such a good item against T1. Makes it that much harder. Faker, well, let's see.
Okay, they're going in 2v2, but we got Cuz and Effort coming in from behind. Faker taking a ton of damage, though. He's going to get sniped by Ruler from downtown. They're looking to turn it onto BDD, but here comes a Death Realm as Mordekaiser trying to go 1v1. And it's not going to do the damage, actually. It looks like he's in there with Teddy, and Teddy actually outplays the Mordekaisers over the wall. Kana is going to get his revenge.
T1's turning it.
T1 is absolutely turning it here as they went a bit too far. Gen.G did, and we're not quite able to pick up all the kills. It's only Ruler now against 4, as he is forced to flash away even at the backside of this fight and cannot catch up to Kana.
And so right there, Gen.G, they made a decision to try to pick off Faker, but Rumble, he is pretty durable. He has his shield, he has HP item right now. We'll take another look at it. You can just see Faker sitting there patiently, gets knocked up by Clid, but BDD didn't quite have the damage to annihilate him right away. The ultimate came in from Ruler, but Cuz was waiting, and Effort able to get there as well, and it was much like the Avengers. T1 just showed up to sort of help Faker, and this really lessened the gold gap, and it's making the game much closer than it was just before all of this transpired. T1 still behind, but definitely put a breath of life in them.
Yeah,
T1 are going to get the Cloud Dragon now.
They pick up the Drake. They get a bunch of kills in their favor. And we talk a lot about how scaling teams, they don't necessarily have to force the issue. It's not their responsibility to accelerate the game. They could have as easily sat back, but instead they fought into a TP disadvantage, it looked like, as there were 2 TPs to 1, at least in the fight. As you talked about the Avengers, T1 was able to get there earlier than Gen.G was, essentially. And even though Rek'Sai did the assassination, he also got assassinated, as he's very, very squishy, and Cuz was able to stay alive in that fight for so much longer than his counterpart jungler. So just trying to force the issue a little bit. You know, I know they've got a very strong Rek'Sai, and they thought they had a pick onto Faker, which is always tempting, but not necessarily the right move given the game state here. So they give that Drake away. They give a couple of kills away. Now on Vision here, though, is T1 up in the top side. So Gen.G gonna gain some nice information from that.
Right now, nothing too chaotic should unfold in the next couple of minutes anyway. And T1, I mean, if they want to come back into this, it's going to be through Gen.G taking fights that they don't need to, running into the Rumble. Now, Rumble, if he's behind and if his team's behind and he's equalizing offensively, feels kind of bad. But defensively, Equalizer tends to do things a little bit differently because it's guaranteed surface area that you get to play around and dance around rather than the opponents having a say, typically. So right now, they just need to wait. Leandri's going to be coming up soon on Faker. Varus right now at 2 items, but Gen.G, every item that they get does matter just as much. 3 minutes until another Cloud Dragon. Baron isn't realistic for either of these teams right now, and at 22 minutes, this is the ping pong phase, where it's very hard to force something or make it happen unless a team typically makes a mistake. So Gen.G, they can comfortably sit back and keep scaling if they wanted, or they could try to force a team fight.
Well, they're at least flexing their muscles a bit here, as they've got a nice little fanned out setup here. They wanted to use the Rift Heralds here, surely, to get one of these turrets and get more map control and extend their lead. You notice they're not trying to force fights anymore. They're just like, okay, let's push in, let's fan out, get a turret, and back away. They're not going to be diving or anything like that at this stage of the game. And so they get a nice amount of gold extra. Plus, of course, the mid turrets are always going to be incredibly important for map control. And we should go back to just throwing the waves back to each other.
Freeze. Freeze.
You gonna be okay? We got the lights off here, at least this time around, so you can stick around a little bit longer. I mean, he's Rumble. He burns things.
Well, he has a
doesn't
lot
know
to
how
do right now
freeze.
for the next 2 minutes. There's a cosmic force compelling him to be somewhere. Where is that, Valdez? Tell me.
Baron.
Oh, yes. I see. Wine glass. I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah, I know. It's weird that you hadn't thought of that. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a big objective.
All right. Makes sense. It does make sense. Now, here we go. Senna's going to push in this wave, and let's see what Varus does with it.
Look at Varus. He's running.
Hold on. Now, we could freeze in mid.
He can't wait. Wait, he's charging up that piercing arrow right now.
Gen.G can't do Baron. And let's see what Varus did.
The wave's gone.
He ate it immediately. Perfect.
Yeah, nice. I mean, he's got blue. He can piercing arrow. I mean,
Hold on.
and he's gonna get all his mana back
I wonder what Senna's going to do right now.
and do it again.
She pushed it in. Now, nothing's happened. It's been 1 full minute. Let's see what Varus is going to do.
I love the sound that Varus makes too. He sounds so happy when he's charging
Yeah,
up his laser.
he's grunting. Yeah.
Oh, we do have a Cloud Drake coming up here in 30 seconds. I could see, you know, we have seen teams pushing mid to try to gain map advantage when there are objectives coming up. And T1, right, they're only 2 Drakes away from the Dragon Soul. So
Yeah. Well, now
Perhaps.
would be the time to actually, yes, unlock waves and look to actively do something. But they're pushing a top tier 1 turret, so a couple hundred gold there. That's very important.
Hey, he's
Rumble.
got TP.
Yeah, and it looks like they're actually just going to give away this first Cloud Dragon. I think that they're waiting for completions on items. Bloodthirster, I think, is really close for Teddy. And interestingly, if Teddy hit tab, he would see double Morello, I think, is potentially staring him down. So, not entirely sure. Why not just go a Wit's End instead? You'd get the attack speed, it would synergize with the other items. You'd get the resistances.
No, but we don't build Wit's End. That's not in the recommended items,
Yeah.
LS. That's not an item that people build. It's not high tier.
Well, Morello now completed on Rise.
That's good.
Yeah.
Now you got a couple down there for the
There's a lot of healing on
Varus auto attacks.
T1. And I know that I just talked about Bloodthirster, but it's something.
Yeah, you know the Morello for Senna Mordekaiser, I'm like, okay. You know, it's all right. It's not the 1 in 200, but I'm not going to lose my head over it. But the 2 Morellos on the side of Gen.G, I'm definitely in the lost sanity column here in game number 2. Would have to
Look at the
agree.
ping pong. I wonder what Varus is going to do right now.
Oh, he didn't charge up his Q. I thought he really enjoyed that. They're looking for a pick now as Kana going a little bit too far forward, and he's going to be punished. Effort nearly getting punished. Had to flash away from that one as he was in total vision plus the tremor sense, and there was no real hope for Kana. The Rek'Sai pick comes in, and Gen.G with their lead will continue to push down the mid lane. But again, they don't have the best siege, so instead of going for that, okay, they're going to try to go for this. Faker wanted to shoot him down as they were getting into that ultimate, but they do all Realm Warp onto the Baron, and now there is no equalizer for the Baron fight, 4v5.
If Cuz steals this,
It's going to be up to that. Take a look at Cuz. Faker over the wall. Cuz over the wall. They're going to burst down. Rascal. Can they get the dragon? No, they will not. The Baron is going to go the way of Gen.G, and everybody is going to be cleaned up. A quadra kill for Ruler as he lines him up and takes him down.
and so Gen.G now with the Baron, they're going to be able to bust open an inhibitor at the very least. Kana, the only one remaining. It actually looked like T1 were maybe going to be able to steal that. But we're going to a game number 3 almost for sure at this point. There should be no way back into this game for T1. But we've seen some games where miracles happen. This Baron, after the reset, they are all pooling hundreds of gold each right now. We'll take another quick look at it. Faker right there on the edge. He flashes in. There's a blasting cone a couple centimeters north of him, but Rumble's suit's a little bit too heavy. And then Cuz goes in as well, not able to get the Baron, and T1, they get aced.
Yeah. They got Senna there at the end. She had just so much room in front of her. Like, if you're all going to pile into one pit against an 80 carry that is quite fed at this point, and it's not even just the 80 carry, it's, you know, just going all in like that just to try to pick up the Baron. You mentioned the blast cone. Both Cuz and Faker did flash into that one. I suppose they wanted the reliability of making sure they got into the pit rather than any interruptions or anything like that. In the end, it did not work. They picked up 1 kill, I believe, onto the Mordekaiser, and that is about it. The rest of them were able to push down, take an inhibitor. The game is still going on, but as you called, at about 13 minutes and 19 seconds, the scaling team extremely far ahead now. The Senna 6-0 and 5. The Rise has almost 4 items. I don't think T1's going to be doing much in this one, as the Equalizer comes down to clear the wave. And that is about it. As, Ruler's kind of fed now. Doesn't really give a damn about what T1 is doing on the Rift.
And Kana, I mean, he's trying to do whatever he can right now. He knows that his presence isn't necessary at the base. They're not going to be able to fortify this regardless. Equalizer not available right now on Faker. Baron minions, Mordekaiser, he has teleport, but his recall's not fast enough, so he's not going to be able to teleport on one of the minions. Actually, he might just go bottom to stop Kana, rather than teleporting for the two inhibitors. So they're playing this much safer.
The engage comes in. They're looking for Faker here, but he's got a Zhonya's, and now the TP is going to come in. No TP from Kana just yet. He does have it, but he's holding on to it. And now the push, 5-on-4, is going to continue onto this inhibitor. They will take it down as 4-on-5 T1 not willing to take that fight, and they will go later and later into this stage of the game as Kana is going for the Cloud Drake, but it won't be a Dragon Soul. Gen.G perhaps trying to shut this down as they are rotating, and Kana is in a bit of trouble. Has to hookshot away and give that one over to Gen.G.
And so now they're extremely close to the Cloud Dragon Soul, and it's really big for Senna and Mordekaiser in particular. Obviously for T1, had they captured it, it would have been more so for denial purposes than anything else, because virtually no one on their team really cares about the bonus from the Cloud Dragon. And I think Mordekaiser is building Banshee's Veil. And so again, they're making use of those resistances rise with Rabadon's Death Cap. Looks like he's going to be his next item. There's a lot of magic resist that's present on the side of T1, so wondering actually if Void Staff...
Nah, he's got Morello. He's fine.
Okay. All right.
Don't worry.
All right, I'm fine, Valdez.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't... Talk to you later.
There is actually a...
We're going to be in a lull state a little bit. Okay?
Yeah, okay. Hey, Varus started building with Tent.
Weird how that works.
He's...
What is your New Year's resolution?
He's getting to it. I'm going to go back to the gym.
You and everyone else?
Yeah.
All right, I'll ask you again on the 3rd. Never mind.
No,
that's fine.
I'm starting actually not on New Year's, but after I come back from New York, January 25th.
Okay.
So it's a little bit of a delayed one, but that's, you know.
That's Lunar New Year.
Yeah.
This year. January 25th.
Oh.
I don't know why I know that.
Yeah, why do you know that?
I don't know. As soon as you said 25th, I saw...
You just knew.
Yeah.
You had it set up. You have the calendar on your wall already, 2020. You're getting excited for more Korean drafting
stop.
in 2020.
I'm not going to make it.
We still got a whole other series and another game after this one. I hope you can make it to 2020. Faker is already getting zapped down, and that's going to bait effort in, as nobody's really getting hit by this equalizer. Klid has GA. He's fine to go down here. Faker now in his Zhonya's, but in a bit of trouble, as he was in the Death Realm. Should be burst down, as Klid is going to snipe him from the back line. That's going to be the 1 kill into potentially another one, because it's going to survive, actually, so the inhibitor will go down. Looks like Gen.G are not going to push for the win. Oh, actually, they are sticking around. And here we go, pushing on in as they have a couple of waves with the super minion in the top side. 5-on-3 with some damage health bars, because it's going to get locked down and get sniped here. Nearly gets knocked out, but does have that repel. Is essentially going to be out of this one as Kana, Teddy, and Cuz desperately trying to hold on to the base, but the turret is being chunked down, and they are going to hold on to it for now, but they're fighting back here. Perfect disengage and re-engage from Gen.G. They take out 2. Teddy trying to auto-attack them down, but he just gets wiped up, and that is going to be a double kill into the win for Gen.G here at 34 minutes. GG, we are going to a game number 3.
And now, going into game number 3, it's going to be really important to see what happens in draft number 3, because I'm going to call it there, Valdez.
You're just going to call it in the draft?
I'm going to call it in the draft. This game, I called it at 13 minutes.
13 minutes, 19 seconds.
It's going to be in the draft. It gets called.
Game 1, I don't have the exact second mark, but I think it was in minute 28, because it took T1 a little bit longer to get their feet underneath them. But you've been correct twice in a row about early calls. The one thing you are not correct about, though, is the
2-0
for T1. In fact, the only one of us that can be correct still has the potential is me.
Well, my bad.
Sorry,
Yeah.
low-scoring prediction person.
My apologies. I didn't expect them to draft themselves into a hole in one of the games, so.
Yeah.
You know, it's actually really sad. I was one of the few people that was very adamant that it was one of their reasons that they got knocked out of Worlds.
Yeah.
They had
The drafting.
incomprehensible difficulties out of the drafts that were presented to them. And so even in this game, there was really very little they could do, even past the 10-minute point. They did manage turning around that big fight up in top lane where Faker got collapsed on, but all of T1 was able to really be there and show up. Sort of like Doctor Strange, you know, coming out of the portals.
Yeah.
But no, I think it's fine. It's not really a
Yeah,
spoiler.
it's okay.
It's been 8 months, but nonetheless, this game, T1 fell very far behind early on. They didn't have an insurance policy to really help them out.
Face checking for Mountain Drakes, never
And
a good
Gen.G,
idea.
They played it mostly very safe, except for that Baron call. That one was a little bit dicey, but nonetheless, they managed to pull through, and everything ended up being fine. So, and this is actually the highlight that I was just mentioning a second ago, where they really committed to trying to kill Faker, and you can see the double teleport comes in, Effort and Cuz already there. And this was a bit catastrophic, but it wasn't enough
Yeah.
to overcome the compositional imbalance. So it's going to be really important to look at it in Game 3, and this is, again, as a byproduct to turret plates don't really mean anything. Turret gold doesn't really mean anything. Damage in the game is lacking. Dragons suck. So, I mean, what more do I need to say? I mean, the souls are good. The souls are very good.
Yeah.
But
we've had 2 games, though, where the game was decided before the soul was even close
Yes.
to, you know, coming into effect.
And-
So, in that vein, dragons don't really matter
compositional
before we've gotten there.
imbalance can be made irrelevant if the team discrepancy is large enough.
Yeah.
If you're just too much better than your opponents, it won't really sort of matter, because you're going to be able to win laning phases regardless.
And that happens
of
a lot.
anything. It happens
in,
a lot.
in league play, especially.
In League of Legends, it happens in every single region. The top teams can get away with
That's what I
doing
mean.
almost whatever
Yeah,
they
yeah.
want. And then if the bottom teams follow suit, they're never going to be able to replicate these similar results. So
Yeah.
when 2 top teams, or elite teams, typically you only get this at Worlds, collide with one another, that's when you'll really start to see drafts matter.
And so we've seen it matter twice in a row. But guys, we'll have one more break before game number 3.
battlefield. Dominate your competition with the infrared beam. And if that's not enough, experience real rapid-fire action with the Gel Bead Blaster. With the included interactive curriculum, anyone can learn how to code, teach it to move, recognize shapes, and a whole lot more.
Welcome back, guys. We are here live for the KeSPA Cup 2019 ULSAN. And we are in the midst of Gen.G versus T1. Gen.G able to pick up a scaling comp and bring it to the relative late game and take out T1 in game number 2. And now we will go to the decider match, as Ruler did pick up the MVP. Don't think he died a single time on the Senna. Was able to scale up quite nicely on that pick and do quite a good job. So we are going to be jumping into the pick ban right away, as we do here at the KeSPA Cup. Let's see what these teams have in store for us, as they will stay on the same sides as always.
All right, well, Gen.G starting out with Cassiopeia Xayah bans, and we'll just see if they mirror everything or continue to do so. Akali and Lucian now banned away by T1. The Senna now being banned away. They banned away the husband and wife.
Yeah, I don't know. Is that fair?
I don't know.
It means that they didn't ban Lee Sin like they did 2 games in a row.
Well, Rek'Sai gonna be first picked yet again by Gen.G. T1, though, they're getting the better jungler in the form of Gragas.
Gragas overlooked in game 2 where it wasn't banned. But this time around, Cuz is going to go back to tried and true, most likely, as he hovers it down to 0 seconds and picks it up.
We ended up locking in. We'll see what they accompany it with. There is some time remaining. So it's going to be the Aatrox. Not going to get any Gragas Yasuo shenanigans. Now Gen.G responses given over to them.
Yeah, not going to have the Gragas Yasuo yet.
Really surprised that we're not seeing any Gangplank priority throughout KeSPA Cup. Gangplank being extremely overlooked, I feel, so far in this tournament. Varus and Tahm Kench getting picked. And already lots of short range on the side of Gen.G. You could just bully it and pick champions that thematically counters that, but we'll see what T1 is going to do.
Yeah, so far they're looking to hop into fights, as we really do not see a lot of KeSPA in the meta nowadays. I think we've seen it once prior here in the KeSPA Cup, once or twice, and it was with a similar composition where you're kind of going all in aggressive on the engages and trying to get KeSPA in there with some of that hard CC. So we do see it picked up here quite early, actually, for T1.
Now Mordekaiser getting banned away. And Gen.G, they probably don't really... I mean, they might ban away supports, but they shouldn't have to worry about banning away supports because there's just so many that are still open. It's so hard to actually pinch anything. As now Kennen gets banned away. Well, this would mean Gangplank, in theory, could be picked up by Gen.G. And he absolutely dumpsters Aatrox up in the top lane.
Well, we've definitely seen that before. Just we haven't seen too much of the Gangplank, at least.
Blitz is being hovered right now. We'll see if he does end up getting locked in. That would make Aatrox able to be flexed mid and top, in theory. And I do like that T1 is waiting for more information before deciding on a last pick. If Gen.G continues to pick short-range engaged champions, T1 will have so many options with champions that can just ruin them. Rumble being hovered.
Lots of Rumble in this series. Both teams liking it. Gen.G going to get it back here for game 3.
Well, now they have to decide on a final pick. We don't know if the Rumble is going to go top or mid yet. And it's going to be a LeBlanc. interestingly enough, this is a Kassadin spot. Kassadin usually doesn't get many spots in pro play where he would make a lot of sense. Lyssandra's another beautiful champion. All right, T1 won. I don't know if we should cut to break right now or what, but Aatrox, he's getting everything given to him. Rumble wants to come in on him. LeBlanc wants to come in. Rek'Sai wants to come in. All of these champions want to come in. Varus short range. Tahm Kench. He's trying to do two different things in this team composition. LeBlanc is going to be extremely hard-pressed to make things happen. And so the Lysandra, she's going to get rewarded with her passive for sure inside of a team fight. And she destroys, very similar to Cassiopeia, in game number 1. They are fulfilling the same exact theme. And Gen.G now are going to be the ones with enormous amounts of responsibility, not a very good way to itemize, and they're looking like they've dug themselves a hole.
Yeah, it's not just coming down to straight up scaling advantages for either side. Now it just comes into how these team fights are actually going to engage. So excited to get into game number 3. Let's see who will pick up the win in the final game of the series. All right, well, I thought game 1 was bad. Gen.G, it looks like they don't have a dedicated cheerleader, and that is the main problem. We had someone else do it this time, and the voice was too low, so they barely got any cheer out there. Kind of disappointing on my end as T1 crushed them again in game 3, but hopefully they can work on that going into 2020, as perhaps that will be their New Year's resolution.
Well, we'll have to see. Obviously, you don't want to end 2019 on a loss.
No.
So this game, T1 can take solace in knowing that all of their champions scale a lot better than the opponents, and the responsibility on them to start fights or even try to make them happen simply at the hand of actually a Blitzcrank pull. And then outside of that, they don't have to do anything except try to get dragons. Now, Ocean Dragon's the first one of the game. So we're not going to get an Ocean Soul this game.
No.
Which, had that been a possibility, obviously it would be really big for both parties, but it would be a death sentence to Gen.G if T1 was able to get it. And here we go. We're just going to start off. Looks like Rek'Sai going to have an interesting opening here, starting off on Wolves. Faker having a really heavy trade here against BDD.
He went in for that extra auto, and in fact, it did proc the passive here of BDD early on.
Also, started W on Lysandra.
Yeah. It kind of feels like he didn't skill up anything until just the last moment there. As that's a lot of damage already coming out here. BDD gonna get that last auto win. Knew he didn't have the kill potential with the no ignite, but he still is able to force Faker out of the lane early on.
And Faker losing all of those trades really hard. Gonna have to teleport back in. Doesn't have his E. It's not like he can try to race there. And if BDD is doing stuff right, he should just be able to actually cheater recall here. Can't quite see mid lane right now. But he should just expend all of his mana on the wave. Faker only has his Q as an offensive ability. No E, which means that he can't chase. So BDD just hard shoves in the wave. He should be able to recall. And might not even actually need to teleport back. I can't see the minion wave, though. As looks like Cuz was anticipating some...
yeah, I mean, how many times has he gone for that play where he goes into that brush and looks for a dive? Now that there's extra poke damage, Clid may even consider it again, but he actually reads it and says, no, I think the Gragas is going to be in there, and he calls the bluff, and Cuz will be pushed out of the brush. Klid does not commit to that play.
Now Klid pathing here into mid.
Oh, he's going to get that interrupt, forces the flash away as the chains were leashed onto Faker. Knew he had to get out of range of that to avoid any more damage.
Cuz has to come into mid right now to help this wave. They both could have walked up and actually shared the XP.
Oh. Riller was all alone there.
Yeah.
Avoids the grab.
Cuz
Yep.
needs to go mid and just
It looks
help
like
him
they're
push.
realizing it now.
So a little bit slow there.
Yeah, a little bit slow on the realization, but they absolutely, as you're mentioning, should have got this push down. And now
Faker's
engaging again. Faker in a lot of trouble here, trying to get out with the E. Can Klid or BDD get near him is the question. The answer will be no. Cuz even has to flash away from that one. At least the lane is pushing back towards Faker and they can't get another freeze, but still, a couple of flashes and a summoner lead going the way of Gen.G.
And bot lane is also going really bad.
Ugh.
For T1, Ruler has teleport. So
Yeah.
this lane state, I mean, Gen.G, they are I don't even know what
Why
to say.
did you cut
They are
away from that?
massively outplaying T1 here in the early stages of this game. It's almost a 1,000 gold lead at 5 minutes, purely on lane phase destruction.
Yeah, I mean, that's all it really does come down to. You were talking about how certain compositions don't matter sometimes if it's like a better team over another one, but it can also happen when there's two great teams that go head-to-head and then one team just gets a big advantage in the early game. So Gen.G looking to make this game interesting and say, hey, you know, we're going to play past the draft and see if we can get stuff going early on in this one.
Well, Kana, he is down 10 CS, or actually 12 because 2 minions are about to be picked up by Rascal. So 12 CS currently at 5.5 minutes. Faker should be fine now in mid lane, although we got a really heavy trade right there between Kana and Rascal.
Rascal looking to take a big trade as he hits level 6 before Kana. Seems like he had some information on that, so he's going to push him out. Another engage down on the bottom side, but it's actually just kiting effort back after the grab goes down, and the trade will be won once again by Ruler and Kellen in the bottom side. Another lockdown onto Faker in the mid lane, who is having a bit of trouble early on here up against BDD and his LeBlanc.
The end of it, he will be down 4 CS, so not the end of the world, especially not with how rough the early game did end up going. T1 are obviously in a pretty bad situation right now, but the leads aren't extending all that much though, so as long as they can just hold on to this, they'll be fine by mid-game. Although Klid is level 5.5, Cuz is still 4. So Gragas not really doing all that much.
Yeah, he's been struggling, you know, he's been following around some of the action and not really getting any action out of those plays. He sat in the bottom side tri-brush for about 30 seconds just waiting. As he is going to smite now, Ward comes in here. Klid is looking to steal this away and potentially get the kill. Cuz is going to get the Gromp. As poor Bertha is going to go down here. But Klid still ahead. And Cuz still not level 5. And so a grip down onto the bottom lane that continues here. Another grab is going to sail wide as this Blitzcrank is not paying off with the KeSPA. KeSPA not very good early on either, especially when Varus gets that push. And look at the advantage in the bottom side. They're going to push them off of another wave. Already Ruler is 21 CS ahead, plus plates. And the jungle matchup is going the way of Gen.G. Things looking up here in a big way in the beginning of Game 3.
I got caster cursed this game. I caster cursed T1.
It's because you called it before. You got to wait,
yeah.
You know?
Oh!
Nice job by Cuz.
That's really big. He's able to get that level up. If he lost that, it would have been a 2-level discrepancy inside of the jungle, with both parties having all of their jungle camps up. And because of the preseason changes, rubber banding doesn't exist anymore, and so falling okay, thought he was about to encounter the arch nemesis wolf and get the patience reset, but
Yeah, I hate that so much.
rubber banding doesn't exist anymore, so experience leads in the junglers are that much more important.
Yeah.
And so that's why a lot of situations in the game early can be that much more important as well from the jungle. As Faker, he's down in XP still in mid lane. Level 7, BDD is already into 8 as this wave has arrived.
Yeah, I don't know about that against a LeBlanc. Really hoping for a Hail Mary there, I suppose, as they had some extra time to rotate to the mid lane. And they had a couple of control wards, so they're saying, hey, if BDD engages, perhaps we can get a flash. But absolutely not going to pick up the kill in that situation.
Well, T1 just trying to do whatever they can to get gold right now. We're in one of those Korean LoL states though. Rek'Sai probably can just solo the Ocean Dragon right now, although I guess you would know that Cuz is on his way back down to the right-hand side because you saw him at blue. You're able to keep tabs on his CS because not a lot's happening. So everyone's probably playing with map hacks right about now.
Okay, another hook here, this time on a Tom. Kent is going to take a ton of damage in the burst out of the blitz, and a huge cast comes in, but they decide not to continue, and probably smart with the burst damage that both Ruler and Klid do have in their kit. They take the kill, and I believe smartly are going to back away afterwards. We have Faker coming in now, but is going to be spotted, and T1 decide, hey, we get the big hook onto Tom, we shut down the pressure in the bottom side, and we get the Ocean Drake, and that they will here, as that's also first blood. So T1, they pick up a couple of objectives. They're going to even up this gold score, and even though the CS is still looking pretty dire in the bottom side, they take a bit of pressure away, so importantly, in this early game from Gen.G.
Yeah, and I mean, right now, they've almost evened up the goal. Okay, Cuz.
Yeah, he doesn't have his flash anymore. 2-on-1 in the jungle, that's not very fair. We got Tom Kench even getting in the mix. He's gonna slap him with his tongue and steal the kill. Doa would be happy with that bloodthirsty support play.
Well,
I mean, he Abyssal Voyaged in just to KS. Like, doesn't get much better than that.
yeah. And so right now, it looks like T1 we're going to be able to almost stabilize. Now, they do have the Ocean Dragon, which, you know, it's a consolation prize to some stuff that has happened. Mountain Dragon is going to be the one that's coming up next. And interestingly enough, it's a dragon that I guess they can use a little bit better than the opponents. We take a look at it. Effort lands the hook. Now, remember, I believe it's patch 9.14. Blitzcrank got the shield breaker change to his R. So Tom Kench, doesn't really matter how thick his skin is.
Yeah.
Blitzcrank, he's got the right needle for it.
And you just don't even try to grab the Varus, right? You grab the chunky catfish in the lane, and you say, what? I mean, he's thick. What can I say?
What?
You grab him, and it's usually a very easy grab. Tom Kench not able to flash to safety on that one. You break his shield, and especially early on, he's really not that tanky. His gray health is the biggest thing that will keep him alive, so Blitzcrank can just counter that. And when you have your jungler with you, you can shut that down. And as we were talking about, it's not like T1 immediately get back into this game and are in control or anything, but it loosens some of the pressure, you know?
Yeah.
Takes one more notch away on that belt that was tightening up against T1.
Well, even after what happened early on, the lane phase destructions, everyone's recovered really well except bot lane.
That's another big one there. The Chains of Corruption going to come in here. Teddy getting on top of Ruler. I'm not sure about that one. He has to flash away, and now everybody from T1 is just getting the hell out of there.
Kellen was 110% dead.
How did he even survive?
Well,
I was watching the 80 carry fight, and then
Teddy felt Yeah, there was a cosmic force involved.
He was feeling it.
Yeah, he was feeling it. He had to go. Yeah,
So-
I don't know what to say about that.
It goes against everything that they did well in the original engage, which was, okay, grab the Tahm Kench, get the easy kill, don't overcommit. This time it's like, nope, Teddy is going into the back line, down 40 CS against Avaris, and down a level alone with TPs coming in, instead of just killing Tahm Kench again.
Yeah,
You're
it
behind, just get the kill.
really doesn't make all that much sense why they greeted the way that they did. Yeah, that's not really an ultimate now, is it? It's not really in a bit. That's like
Unless you're
that's like
stealing
when your
a kill.
car breaks down halfway.
Yeah, it's like you're towing the boat. You know, the engine broke down, and you go 5 miles down the river. Takes an extra 40 minutes.
We're gonna see what Faker's actually building here with the Hextech revolver.
Proto Belt, no?
Well, it could be GLP.
Yeah.
So
We used to see just straight up Proto Belt every game, but maybe not the case anymore.
it's actually a little surprising after how poorly the early game went that he would opt into Proto Belt, mostly because that's an accelerant item. And yes, it can be used for wave clear things and stuff of that sorts, but when you're just intending to scale and you've already lost the ability to win early.
Okay, engage here on Kellen again. He is just the punching bag of this team as another execute comes in from the Blitzcrank to take away that shield. Now 2-0 is effort. A couple of bloodthirsty supports. They are the only 2 champions to get kills in this game at 15 minutes. The Blitzcrank and the Tahm Kench. Doesn't happen very often that way.
Should have been 3 kills.
Should have been Doacast in this game.
Yeah, it should have been. I
Let's
don't know where
call
he
him
is.
back. Come on, Doa, where are you at? Somebody add him on Twitter. Tell him about this game. It is the Proto Belt that does come in here from Faker. And if they can sit back and get pick after pick like that, it's not so bad if Gen.G are not going to push the envelope.
That's really all that they need to do. And right now, Cuz actually going to start this Mountain Drake. And you can see everyone, they have a little bit of resistances right now. So, I mean, it's going to be a pretty pathetic amount of buff that's granted.
You can see. Let's take a look here.
77 and 64 to
81
and... I thought you would...
No, I was looking at the armor too. So he got 4 armor.
Nice. Nice.
Man, I love these new Drakes. They really do jack at all. I mean, seriously. Seriously? Like,
It'll
4
be a little
armor?
It'll be a little bit more, okay, once he gets the Seeker's arm guard.
Of course.
But yeah, it's a very, very low amount.
He's going to get, like, the amount extra that he gets is probably going to be like 4 more.
The dragon will probably end up equating to a maybe 300 gold at some point.
Like a cloth armor? Well, I guess
almost a cloth armor.
Yeah.
Is what it can do. But obviously, Mountain Soul is really good.
Yeah.
When you get 3 Mountain Drakes and then get the Soul, obviously that
And you
feels
get the
very
shields,
nice.
and
Right.
it's like you're playing with an extra little
But
baby karma on your team or something.
This is going to be the worst Dragon Soul yet again.
Yep, Cloud Soul coming on in. What it's 10% extra movement speed flat, right? And then you get the bonus movement speed after you ult. That's the Cloud Dragon Soul.
Yeah.
So you consider who's really going to benefit from the movement speed after ulting. Really, maybe Aatrox? Yeah. Okay, big engage here as Kellen again into the bouncy house. Is going to take a ton of damage, but the shield break doesn't come in, and no snipe from Teddy this time around. Everybody was looking at that one.
Ooh, that heal.
Heal just barely going to save Faker as nobody dies in the contest. No top laners get into this one. An equalizer would have been some really fat cash there from the side of Gen.G, but it does not come through.
Well, that was a really close call. If Lissandra just got 1 passive off, it changes everything. We're going to take another quick look at it. Effort comes in, misses the hook. Should have just actually waited for Faker to engage. Save the hook for that. One Lissandra passive changes everything inside of this fight, but obviously really close call. You look at the heal.
Yeah. Faker queued Varus instead of Tom Kench, which goes against their kill the Tom Kench mentality
They should really
that
just
they've
kill
been
him.
having.
Yeah.
Just kill the Tom Kench, and then afterwards, you know, with Lysandra passive, with a follow-up hook, or a Kaisa into the backline with a cask, then go for the Varus after you take away just the sitting duck that is Tom Kench in this game.
Well, right now in this game, now Faker could have just pulled this wave.
Okay. Trying to catch him in the shop.
There's no engage potential on either side at this point. There's no objective to fight over, but instead we're going to play ping pong with lanes. So,
Do you think T1 should sit back here and try to freeze it up?
yeah. Yeah, they should.
Now, I think I'm beginning to get it. Well, we do have a Rift Herald here that is being pushed into the mid lane. The plates are down. And I believe this is
Varus?
Shelly.
Do you see him? He looks like a Wraith. I don't know if this is only on our stream. You see him?
Yeah, what?
He's a Wraith.
What? Is that like a skin?
I don't
That's
know
not
what
like
that is.
a new skin.
That's
right?
really cool looking. I'm sure that it's a replay bug. Okay, we brought attention to it.
Yes. LS, this is when you, yeah, I'll see you for the next series.
I get it. Because the lights?
Yeah, the lights are coming back on, so
Okay.
yeah, I'm just gonna scoot over here into the middle, and that's such a funny picture from yesterday with just Atlas sitting in the middle by himself.
Well, Ref is heading into the booth right there. You know, talking about what we just were before the break just started, take this opportunity again to talk about freezing as we wait to hear.
So it's freezing in Seoul.
It actually is. It's negative 11.
It's paused because Varus is invisible. So maybe you called. Maybe it's your fault.
Maybe it's my fault. Yeah.
LS, you said that Varus was invisible, and then we had a pause.
Yeah, and people were like, I guess he is invisible, isn't he?
Yeah.
Imagine if
made
he
it
was
happen.
doing. Imagine if he was doing really poorly in this game, and he took it personally, as if someone was trying to say that.
He's invisible.
Yeah. You know when you
I
call
mean-
someone Evelyn when they're just not doing anything?
yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those things.
So in my experience with bugs like this,
They chrono break, right?
they chrono break and then it fails, and then we're usually here for like 30 minutes.
Oh, you excited?
I said it right when this happened.
Oh.
I'm like, this is what's gonna happen.
Yeah, my eyes are hurting.
Oh no!
Go.
Don't you dare! Somebody call Seth. Where's Achilles?
We got Vedius right upstairs.
Oh,
We're
that's
just gonna-
true.
We're just gonna drag him down, throw him on.
Hey, if this goes over 30 minutes, I'm going to make sure that he comes on.
Yeah,
the stream.
we'll just have quick shot and
Because
Vedius
why
take
not?
over.
I mean, they're sitting right over there.
Yeah.
They're not technically working. They're on vacation, but we're going to impose
Yeah.
and say, sorry guys, the fans would really love this.
Yeah, no big deal.
If you could come on down and say a couple words. I'll let them talk to you, and you guys can talk about Korean drafts. How does that
We
sound?
should absolutely do that. We were in agreement in
Yeah.
between the break
Yeah,
that the drafts leave much to be desired. But the whole freezing thing, it's a very bizarre topic because it's something that I know I've made it a point to talk about ad nauseum for almost the last half a year.
yeah.
And in games where there's no objectives, if you can deny several minion waves worth of gold, that equates to a turret. But what's not accounted for is the XP, or the net difference that is accumulated for both parties. So just because a turret goes down, what does that mean? What is that actually changing? What does it do
Especially
for
a
both
top
things?
tier 1 turret.
Right, you can't view things as if it's just black and white like that. Like, oh, a turret went down, it must be good. No, not always. There's lots of strategy games where you can see that actually having less terrain to cover is more advantageous, or that simply because you have vision somewhere doesn't mean that you can do anything with it. Like, right now in this game, let's say that Gen.G has total vision over the bottom side of the map, but there's no dragon, and there's no champions there. It doesn't mean anything. Just because there might be 6 wards, 7 wards there, it's not actually doing anything. So
Yeah.
the question always has to stem from what is being gained, what is being achieved, what is able to actually be done. And when we're using deductive reasoning at the pro level of play, you don't need to always see things to know what can and can't exist inside of the fog of war. So in LoL states like this, we've watched them bounce waves back and forth endlessly without achieving anything.
Yeah.
And so you can create mini neutral objectives, and that's the whole thing about it.
Yeah, and you talked a lot about
And also shared XP
what
in
you
preseason.
Yes, and
If you can make people share XP by permanently freezing a side lane, sometimes they'll try to rebuke it by, oh, you'll lose X tier 1 turret. Great. Now it's better. I have less
now
terrain.
you can freeze better.
No, exactly. That's actually unironically true. Yeah.
It's a compounding positive objective for your team. And you talked about mini objectives. I think you should also, when you're talking about this, talk about the positives that you gain, because you talked about a lot of the, potential negatives of ping-ponging, right? But if you're not ping-ponging, you're denying XP, you're denying gold. There's the shared XP that you talked about. The enemy team will get antsy. They'll look to try to stop the freeze.
We saw Gen.G pinging it.
Yeah.
Before it could happen, there were actual defense pings going onto it in the game, and then Faker unlocked it.
What would they do against a Cassiopeia, especially in that game against a Cassiopeia? Even if they send 3 people up there, are they going to kill him? No, and maybe they get in a bad position that you can then turn on its head.
And I think one of
the a mini objective where you get a couple of kills even.
One of the issues for observers is they sometimes I'll see the question, well, why aren't teams doing it? Well, you can go back X amount of years in League and say that for almost anything. Why aren't teams lane swapping? Why aren't supports rotating or roaming when their ADC is resetting? Why aren't these things that are now commonly understood?
Yeah,
they take time.
That's why you're Galileo Galilei. That's why your Twitter name is still Galileo Galilei. That's for a long time. Another example in the medical profession, they didn't even wash their hands because they're like, oh yeah, it's not a big deal. Like, because they couldn't see germs, they didn't know that germs actually cause infection. They knew like the basic concept of it, but they didn't know exactly why. So for the longest time, this one guy was like, guys, you got to wash your hands. You got to wash your hands. This is the way to prevent infection.
Oh, yeah.
And now it's like common sense. Like you have to get rid of those bacteria on your hands as to not infect the weak, wounded person that you're working on.
And the other thing about this is just because you're not seeing what will unfold in the coming minutes doesn't mean that it's not possible. So if someone freezes a lane at 13 minutes and everyone only has 1 core item, right, and they're located at random points on the map, doesn't mean that they can Destiny Gate on top of opponents and just suddenly dive tier 1s or tier 2s. That's not how that works. So we're getting an update here.
Varus is invisible for everybody, so we're just
so for everyone
probably
in the game,
gonna have to chrono break.
Yeah, probably gonna. Do they have chrono break here?
Well, if they don't LS, we're in a lot of trouble.
I actually don't know. Maybe you know this, and I don't. Maybe I could ask Vedius in Quick Shot in the break, but chrono break is a thing. It's not in the game, right?
What, you mean like it's its own separate program or something? I don't actually know myself.
I think it's a separate program, but I don't actually know.
I just assumed it was something that was built into the game on the tournament server.
And there's a way to activate it?
Yeah. But I don't actually know myself.
That would be weird. I would imagine, because the tournament realm is able to be used by pro teams, right, when they're scrimming. So I would imagine someone would find it by now, which would be broken for practice.
Yeah.
Unless there's a code. Well, yeah, I guess there could just be a code that only a Riot employee should know, but, I mean, things get leaked all the time. I'm the leaked script, so...
Yeah. You're leaking the inner workings of the chrono break right now. I don't actually know how it works, so you seem to have a bit more information than I do.
Well, I believe that it's an external program because I believe at LoL Park, when there was going to be a remake once, I think they said they didn't have Chrono Break, which would be weird. That was when it was in its infant, like when it just started getting used
Okay.
frequently. So, not sure.
Yeah, not sure. But, yeah, I mean, you're definitely pushing hard for freezing. And
I'm trying.
So I see this argument a lot in Reddit threads specifically and on Twitter and stuff where they're like, if freezing was the way, why aren't pro teams all doing it?
Well, why weren't pro teams lane swapping?
Well, they did eventually.
Eventually, sure.
Yeah. How
But
long have you been
feelings-
pushing for
Feelings
this?
can be very, very misleading. I mean, also, we've had metas in other games that were thought of as understood that later get
Like
reinvented.
Brood War.
Brood War is a beautiful example. Brood War,
That's a... Yeah.
everyone...
We're back.
in StarCraft 1, I believe Bionic, which is Marine Medic, was mainstream for 17 years? And then there was a meta shift in Terran vs. Zerg where Mechanic
Yeah.
was all that you could do. It's weird how that...
17 years.
17 years. The common belief was that you couldn't go Mechanic against Zerg, or that it was suboptimal. And then I think it was Flash, who his nickname in Korea is also God, as if you guys can actually believe that. In the
God,
esports
yes.
community, his name is God. So Flash, I believe it was him or it was Last, reinvented the matchup and said, no, Mechanic is actually the way to play. And then it got reinvented again. I believe now, I don't totally know what the meta is, but there's also similar things in Super Smash Bros. Melee where matchups weren't totally understood at certain points in time that later flip once new techniques or mechanics are discovered or other things like that. So it's not ridiculous. So again, it has to be viewed from the standpoint of simulations. You have to go in and simulate it and feel it and get the experience and look more detailed at what's happening. Now, doesn't mean that it can't be patched out or broken or something like that, but just simply saying that it's not happening isn't an argument.
Yeah.
Because there's too many examples that have been put forth that argue for it, that advocate for it, that, I mean, I've tried to show.
Yeah.
And I've had many, many pro players.
I hear you made a video on that.
I made a video, and I know that a lot of pro players, some were outwardly spoken against it, but then some pro players from those pro players' teams I invited onto the stream to discuss the same things that were criticized, and it ended very differently. So it's something that's very weird. But the fact that there can be discord in itself, the fact that disagreements can even occur where some pros are saying yes, some pros are saying no, that should make you look even closer, like why is this happening?
It should be enough to
cause people to look into it. Yeah, and
exactly.
Varus is safe.
Varus is no longer invisible. He is part of the game now. He dominated early game, actually. For you guys who were not here before the pause, maybe you were tuning in because you were hyped to hear another podcast. This one definitely a little bit in-depth on the inner workings of freezing and lane mechanics. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. But we're back here. Varus, nice little bounty with the CS lead that he has. And this is another example where I believe this top lane could have been frozen, but instead Faker and Cuz came to the top side and are desperately pushing this top tier 1. It's not the first time that this has happened. And now Ruler and Kellen going to look to handshake in the middle and take an objective of their own in the tier 2 in the mid lane.
Well, they got 500 gold from the turret. And it does look like the wave will bounce back into them. So here's the ping pong state. And yeah, we can see Varus.
Yes, he's there. We get it.
I wonder if that's a problem with the Darkstar skin in particular.
Could be.
Could
You know
be
what?
cool.
Let's
Make sure to abuse that in solo queue.
Let's ban that for the majority,
Yeah.
for the rest of the day, please. I'd like to get to the fun location and not to New Year's Eve here in the next arena.
Now, here's the thing, right? The byproduct... Oh, hold on.
Big engage. Are they just going to go for Kellen? The hook is down. Big equalizer right onto 3 of them. Faker in a bit of trouble as he was cut off by that equalizer. Is going to get over the wall, though, with that E, as no one will be able to follow up. Here's BDD, though. Tries to do that damage, but it is not enough on the Faker. They have pushed T1 up to the top side of the jungle, and they are attempting to push down mid. But the rest of them have grouped up and put up a defense. Nobody dies, and T1 should hold on to this mid tier 2.
That's a really, really close team fight right there. If T1 lost to any members, Baron is a real possibility right now for Gen.G. But likewise, a bit of a sloppy start, and they just barely managed to escape there was T1. We're going to take a look at it one more time. They're pushing in mid. They missed the Blitzcrank hook, and again, Faker goes in, so it really feels like Faker and Effort are very off-tempo with one another. Equalizer parting with the teammates. It's like Moses in the Red Sea right there. Faker left stranded onto the left-hand side. He gets over. Heal having to come in for him again as BDD almost got the execute on him. But they did lose the Cloud Dragon, which means that it's not going to be a Soul Dragon or like a match point dragon coming up.
I love how you call it match point because you're like, once you get that soul, it's
Cloud's the only one that I don't call it on, though.
Yeah, that's true.
Every other dragon will mount. So I think that Cloud's the worst, then Mountain, although Mountain can be the best against like Assassin, super hard engage comps.
Yeah.
But Mountain can be played around in a way that Ocean and Infernal can't. And Infernal and Ocean... Yeah, they're by far the best. I think Ocean can outright end games, whereas Infernal can't, but they're definitely the best.
Yep, well, we're not getting that here. We had 2 Ocean Souls, actually, in Game 1 and Game 2, and now we have Cloud, so a little bit less impactful of a Dragon Soul as Rascal sneaking up on Canna here. We do have Abyssal Voyage available and Rek'Sai rotating, but Canna is going to get the word and back away from that one, and the ping-ponging continues here in this mid-game. It does feel like lull states don't last as long. You remember, you know, before preseason in 2019, I feel like we had these big lull states where we were just sitting here for like 5 minutes, 7 minutes.
Well, okay. Hold on, let me play a game with you. You see the wave right now? Okay.
Yes.
All right, well, count this as wave 1. Okay?
But it's gone.
But it is gone.
Because he pushed it.
But had it not been gone, Rumble can't walk up because Gragas is right there. Blitz is right there. So now what do you want Gen.G to do when you view their champion locations on the map? They can't just start Baron. That's not true. Doesn't matter if they get vision over Baron because they can't start it, so it doesn't matter. That's just how that works. So it would have been 2 waves, which means that Aatrox would have killed him. I mean, they might kill him right now.
Instead, they're going for the aggressive approach. The TP comes in. The hook is going to go way wide. Rascal staying alive, and Canna in a lot of trouble here. The knock-up into the assassination will come down, and no escape for Faker as the E will be denied. Is going to go into that ultimate and try to Proto Belt away, and a big slow comes in as a nice eat there. Is going to deny the hook. Effort just trying to disengage for the rest of T1 to get out of there. BDD taking a lot of damage in the end. It is just that 1 kill with the teleport that did come in from BDD to try to net it.
Definitely a close call right there. They really tried to force this on Rascal, but he was able to get into the alcove, and honestly, that's such a beautiful equalizer spot.
Yeah.
And then the rest of Gen.G, they're able to arrive, bring him down. Faker trying to do his best, obviously, to get away from this.
Ended
up doing so. Yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful. If they get Rascal there and blow him up, BDD was low. I believe Ruler had already taken a bunch of damage. Yeah. That fight could have been turned on its head. That was a nice look from Effort, honestly. Gotta give him credit.
Kench is there. He's gonna obviously look for Kench.
Yep, there it is. The flash comes in and ignites. On the opposite side, Effort now has to flash away. The chains are going to leash as the burst damage slowly chipping away. Another great Devour is going to deny any cask shenanigans there onto Ruler.
So if we're wondering what just happened, I'm pretty sure Effort thought Faker had his ult, but he didn't. I really think that's what just happened. Because had Faker had his ultimate, Tahm Kench is dead. 100% Tahm Kench is dead, but Faker did not have it up, and now Effort ended up blowing his flash. So definitely some miscommunication going on. Kana, everyone knows where he is. Oh, man.
Yeah, he's going to get knocked up here. Abyssal Void's coming in. Ult forced to be used before the fight even begins.
This is a good angle right now, though.
Oh, Equalizer actually not going to get the right angle. It does separate Cuz for a bit, but he's okay with that. Now the Equalizer is down before the fight. Kellen taking a bunch of damage. Exhaust onto Faker. Where's that damage going to come in here, though? Kana, no ultimate. Why is he going in? He's going to get chained down, and he is absolutely going to get over the wall. Just barely, as the burn will come in, but Rascal is going to get that burn, and BDD also Click going way too far as T1. Teddy is going to get in there and get a double kill now.
Faker
They're
has TP.
turning this on its head.
Here comes Faker, probably from the south.
And a big headbutt there coming in. Not the headbutt, the body slam, but Ruler trying to turn this one around. Not able to do so as T1 going to turn this one on its head and pick up their third dragon of the game.
That's going to be an ace. That's going to be the third dragon. Faker is going to get the bottom turret. This game is now busted wide open. Take a look at it again. So I said it was a good angle. Equalizer ends up not doing that much. Cloud Soul, by the way, on the map, altering it, helping out T1 right here as well. Faker goes in, gets exhausted, and then ends up R-ing onto Kellen, but obviously can't do anything right there. Kana goes a little bit too far forward, gets locked up by the chains of LeBlanc, almost died, and because he didn't, everyone got baited in.
Yeah, the hook on a BDD was MVP level there from Effort.
I like what Faker did. He canceled his ult. He was able to apply the Lissandra passive there to Rek'Sai, so it sends out the Frozen Thrall, right?
Yes.
Onto the...
Take a look at this body slam.
It's a nice body slam right there by Cuz. Faker was coming in from the south via the teleport, didn't have to. And now Gen.G, things are only going to get worse as this game continues to go on.
Absolutely. And you got a KeSPA that's 3-0-3. Originally, it was kind of a meme. The Blitzcrank was picking up all the kills. Not so anymore. It's a KeSPA 3.5 items, that half item being a BF sword. Plus, you have a no-death Lissandra that's going to be doing her job, really mixing up the backline in team fights, getting those frozen thralls out there and doing the AoE damage as the team comes into them. As you were mentioning, that Rek'Sai and the LeBlanc do love to do here. The Aatrox, Kana, I feel like he's having a little bit of trouble in this one. His plays in the team fights haven't been the cleanest, but he's okay. He's okay. He can try to get some teleport flanks now that he is the only person on T1, at least, that has TP.
Yeah.
So we'll see what he can do. Gen.G not really able to put on the pressure now. They were looking for picks. They were looking for fights. Kellen, no flash here.
This is the stage of the game now where, if you remember, I mentioned to you, T1 don't have to actually start any fight outside of a Blitzcrank pull. And if Blitz misses the pull, you don't have to do anything.
Back away. Yeah.
Right, you just back away, and you can just play this minigame over and over and over. Now the Dragon Soul, the Baron, these are added things that are pressuring Gen.G, and the responsibility is now somehow on BDD to just be a god.
Well, he's a good player, but I don't know if he can actually step up to the level of God here in this third game. And it's not like he's ultra fed or anything. He's only sitting on 2 items compared to, you know, the both 80 carries that are sitting on 3.5. His farm has actually been lackluster in this game. We're sitting at 30.5 minutes. He only has 213 CS on a LeBlanc, so not really stacking up the gold is BDD right now. Not to mention that he completed that Morellonomicon, which I'm sure makes you very happy. Yeah. So a lot of 1,400 gold that could have been spent elsewhere.
There's a lot of healing that the LeBlanc single target nuke needs to impact here.
He could have a large rod instead. That would be more AP.
Or he could have, he could have had 60 AP via Blasting Wand plus Amp Tome, and he could have picked up, he could have moved towards a Void Staff, which would be really good against all the magic resistance. on the side of T1.
Yeah. And they are stacking.
And there was
it
already a
bit.
Morello on Rumble. So Rumble's going to be the one that can actually apply it to multiple members. And the Oblivion Orb gave everything that LeBlanc wanted anyway. Gave her basically the same AP, 200 HP, and the Magic Pen. So did not need to upgrade just for the Grievous Wounds.
He also has 2 extra slots that, you know, it's not like he needs to complete the item for efficiency of item slots or anything like that. Not the case here. Doesn't have any control wards, though. I believe he should pick up one of those. Faker looking for a bit of a flank behind this. The Chains of Corruption going to go way wide. Looking for the hook, and they are going to get it immediately onto Kellen, and he is going to go down. TP coming on in, but Teddy in a bit of trouble. Can he get out of this one is the question. No, he's going to go down. 1,000 gold gonna go to them, and now we got BDD on the chase here as Ruler is still alive in this fight. They got the 80 carry, whereas there is still a big one here with Ruler for Gen.G. A chain's going to land again, but not quite going to lock Cuz down, as that ended up being a big fight going to Gen.G after Teddy went down.
And it was really, really chaotic right there. They weren't quite able to get Kellen cleanly, and so then the fight broke off into something really chaotic. We take a look at what happened here. Faker started things off, and then the R on effort was really late. You can see the thrall at the top. It's going to deal a lot of damage to BDD, but Teddy just gets completely annihilated.
He was in Equalizer and stunned by a chain, I believe, and then Rek'Sai was able to jump on top of it. So there was just really no escape for him at that moment in time. Had flash, but I suppose wasn't able to use it there, as he was stunned for the majority and knocked up. And, well, the Baron did go the way of Gen.G, as T1 will pick up the Cloud Soul here on the Rift.
Now, personally, I think Souls are almost always better than Baron.
Okay.
Especially when your waves are really bad. It's going to take them a minute alone just to get the waves in spots where they can start to use them. And so there's going to be a limited amount of time on this Baron, especially because they needed a recall after it, and they already had waves in bad spots, which means that now T1 are going to be able to attack Baron indirectly by removing all the minion waves on the map. You don't have any minions to use this Baron buff with. T1, they pick up the Cloud Soul, and yes, it's what I think to be the worst soul, but it's going to help them out.
It still provides permanent buffs, which I'm always a big fan of. You know, there's not many buffs. Oh, big hook actually on that Kellen. They get him again and are going to stomp him through that. And you were talking about that Baron buff. Yes, Ruler does a lot of damage, but still, they take away the support. It's now 5-on-4. Faker has TP, and they're not really too concerned about the Baron buff anymore.
And Faker has ult still available.
Yeah.
So he didn't even have to use it on Kellen.
Here we go. And again, the Cloud Soul, it's going to give you some movement speed after you ultimate, plus just base 10% extra. So everybody is going to be really fast moving. I especially love it on the Aatrox because it's good in general, but then once you ult, you're even faster. You're just closing the distance like a madman. And so it's going to be insane. He might not even need to teleport flank in some cases if the fight goes a certain way. So keep that in mind. The Cloud Soul going to be quite fantastic in some cases on the side of the team composition of T1. As Faker, you got to be careful, buddy, is going to get away from this one, hops over with the blasting plants, and there's only 40 seconds left on Baron. Let's see if they can actually do something with it here in mid lane. Faker, okay, he's going to ultimate onto Ruler. They nearly get him.
One thrall will end a fight.
Oh, Clit is so low. Look at how fast Kana is, too. He's getting in that fight. They get that one kill, and here come the Frozen Thralls. Big equalizer, though. They have to back away from this one. Another hook, though, on a Kellen, but they don't quite have the damage as T1 will have to back away from this one. On a knife's edge was that fight. I believe that equalizer was able to save Gen.G in that fight and keep it at 4-4 with only one set death on either side.
That was a really interesting follow-up to the team fight once everything had initially started. I thought it was going to go a lot cleaner for T1. We're going to take a look at it one more time. You can see effort on the left-hand side. Faker going in, starting things off, The hook landed onto Klid, but they couldn't kill Klid. It was just a very bizarre start. The exhaust came out, Thrall went down, and the explosion damage only actually hit BDD, and then the equalizer parted the Red Sea once again.
It equalized the fight, actually.
It actually did, yeah.
Yeah.
That was very good.
Yeah, it's
I thought that was very,
right?
very eloquent. Thanks. You're a wordsmith, for sure.
Not a Papa Smith, though.
Not a Papa
which
Smith.
I'm sure a lot of people are unhappy about.
Yeah, that's true.
Wordsmith at Papa Smith. Papa Smith E is actually here in Korea.
Oh, but he's not here at the KeSPA Cup.
No, he's
all right.
No, unfortunately. I hope that was public that he's here. I don't know. Either way, our older brother has come back to support us, and yeah, this game is really it's so even in gold, but we're at 37 minutes now, and T1's comp, you mentioned it before, wait for a hook, wait for a pick, and go from there. No need to overcommit. They have the Cloud Soul. The Elder is the big one for me. This is coming up in a minute 45.
Gragas has a Spirit Visage to amplify his healing, even though he built it into the opponents having 2 Morel and Omicons.
Nice.
So, it's all right.
Yeah, big fan.
We got a bunch of Nemesises in this game. That's all that's happening right now.
He just got it for the magic resist. It's a magic resist item. We got a hook coming on in, but that's not who you're looking for. You're looking for
I don't know what they're doing.
Catfish. As the cast comes in, but Faker is all but dead. Nice timing on the stopwatch, but it doesn't matter. You're dead anyway. They get the big pick, and there's a minute here until the Baron and the Elder are about to spawn. 50 seconds on the death timer here for Faker. Questionable whether he can join these fights. He doesn't have TP, and I believe the Baron should be going to Gen.G if they rush it. But let's see how they do want to pilot it after getting the pick onto Faker.
So the really bizarre thing is they're trying to force so hard instead of just waiting on Blitzcrank hooks over and over to really just thread the needle. Watch this as Effort. He comes in, he lands the hook, obviously, gets yoinked by Tahm Kench, but then Faker really forces this. His team can't join time and time again. The Equalizer has done the same exact thing this game. And interestingly enough, the best team fight that T1 won was the one that was conducted by Gen.G, where T1 had to respond to it. This is, I believe, 4 times in a row.
Oh, boy. Just spotted him coming down through the lane, and now he is going to have to back. I don't know if he wants to, though. The Baron is going to be started up here. Vision denial now from T1 to try to set this up. There is still a chance.
It's a lot
Faker,
of damage on Klid.
Yeah, Klid's got to be careful. They don't really have someone tanking this. As the cast comes in, and Klid is basically out of the fight for now. He's going to have to back away, and T1 have their eyes set on the mid lane and potentially Elder Drake. That is the big objective I mentioned. This is a game ender.
I don't know if Klid can get there.
This is a game ender.
It's Exodia. This is Yuki's grandpa's deck doesn't have any bad cards, Valdez.
This is better than Baron. Absolutely. At this point in time. Oh, they're getting it down. Klid trying to get in, but he's just going to get hooked and get executed on the backside. Effort goes down. No, he's going to stay alive. Faker, not in the best position here. Has to ultimate to safety. And BDD, not going to go down, but down will go. A bunch of the members of Gen.G, and Teddy is just ripping them to shreds with the executes that come from that dragon.
Oh, the MS.
And the MS, as you mentioned, there it is, another cast, but it will be denied as the flash comes in from Kellen, but the Elder Drake is on.
And now they're going to get the Baron with this Faker down in bottom lane. Tahm Kench does have Abyssal Voyage, so Faker probably wants to wait for confirmation. That's why he's backing up right now. Now he has it. And so he cancels the recall, he moves forward, he knows, okay, no Abyssal.
TP.
Why are you TPing with no mana, no HP?
A moment of silence. Yeah, I'm not sure about that. The wave did push in and take out that turret, but...
Well,
we take a look at the replay.
Yeah, we take a look at the replay. Faker waiting for Klid right outside the edge of the Dragon Wall, Tries to root him up. They get the Elder Baron. Faker gets right into the heart of the team. He got exhausted, though.
Watch Teddy, though.
Yeah, Teddy annihilating BDD. Tells Kaiba to sit down as Ruler and Kellen trying their best to run away. As the Varus ultimate did slow down Teddy. And really nice flash there right at the end by Tahm Kench. He won't have that available to him now. 1 minute remaining on the Elder. And so T1, they won't end the game on this Elder Dragon, that's for sure. At the very most, I think that they'll get the mid inhibitor on the back of it, but I mean, I don't know. Maybe Gen.G will just walk into Elder as it has 20 seconds remaining. And
yeah, I mean, if you're Gen.G here, I think you have to give up something. The question is how much.
Oh, actually, it doesn't look like they'll have to give up anything. Elder's going to expire in 20 seconds. Varus was able to clear everything out. They'll lose the bottom turret.
It's extremely low range
yeah,
overall
the bottom
for T1.
Turret. 10 seconds on Elder.
The highest range is KeSPA.
Okay. They're going to...
Oh, Baker's going in, just threatening them. Wants to push them back so they get the inhibitor. There was about 5 seconds left on the Elder. Now they're rotating to mid. They still have Baron, but no longer do they have the Elder.
They need to back off after the turret. The top wave is way too ugly against double teleport. They lose the fight. Things could get really ugly.
Okay,
oh, man.
Equalizer comes down onto Teddy, and that is going to be the one thing. But now Equalizer
now
no longer available.
They can push on now.
Yeah, they didn't take that much damage. Teddy specifically. So they move in, take out the inhibitor, and then they back away. So they do end up getting 2 inhibitors from the Elder and Baron push. Gen.G perhaps not aggressive enough to stop that kind of push from coming in, because that's kind of annoying, but we'll eventually get that back in. And now this game is going to continue, you'd have to imagine. The KeSPA here on 5 items and some elixirs is going to sell boots. And let's see, Wit's End is what is going to be the pickup here. So it's good, you know, you get a lot of resistances, you can shut down the Rumble and LeBlanc damage a little bit, even the Varus, but specifically those 2 champions. And I mean, you're looking to just ult into the back of fights anyway, so you don't necessarily need all that movement speed from your boots.
Well, T1 now they're trying to push up top lane, but shouldn't actively look for a fight. You have 2 minutes until Elder comes up. You can just look to pursue that. And by the way, I really do want to take this time to just point out, if they had an Ocean or an Infernal, it's no question they can't lose a fight in terms of Soul. But the Cloud, it is able to be played around. It's obviously very nice stats and beneficial, but doesn't quite...
Ooh, Teddy.
Oh, man.
It's going to get locked up here, and that's an Equalizer. Doesn't hit the KeSPA, though. And that's a little bit of a mechanical error. If it hits the KeSPA, Teddy would be much lower on the backside. I believe it gets a flash out of effort. And that is about it. But they're able to regroup here and continue the push. And Teddy's at full health with his lifesteal. And the push continues. Will Gen.G put up a fight here against the push is the question. Now would be the time to do it. As, okay,
Faker's out of mana, though.
I think this is when you got to push the envelope. But they don't really have hard engage, and they don't have Equalizer anymore, so they just have to kind of take it.
They're gonna back off, and they have all 3 inhibitors down. So the game is now 7 versus 5, double supers coming out from every single lane, which means one member can't realistically fend everything off if there's any sort of escorting going on. So
yeah,
at this point, T1, they're gonna be able, or they should, barring some miracle smite steal by Kled, be able to get the Elder Dragon, and with that, if they need it, they can get Baron, and then with that, they can end the game. That's how that works.
Yes, we are at that point in the game where really Gen.G are on the edge of the rope. They're just about to fall off the tightrope here as, okay, because we went kind of the wrong way, my good friend.
Now, interestingly, all the lanes aren't pulsing at the same time.
Yeah.
So it's giving the Rumble some time to actually run to all of the lanes. And so, with Ruler doing an excellent job.
Oh, they found Glid, and he is going to get executed. Does have the GA.
Oh, he's gone.
Yep, absolutely dead. No Devour is going to come on in time, and now we got a freeze here onto Kellen. Kind of just going to zone him out, and now without a jungler, there's no way you're getting that Elder Drake, as it will go over to T1 for 2.5 minutes, and now the push will commence.
And well, now at this point, T1, they're saying, okay, we're just going to end the game. We have the super minions coming in. You're down your jungler. I mean, Elder is, it's something.
It's massive. They're going in. They're not wasting any time. T1 want to go home and celebrate New Year's Eve as they will be executing Gen.G with the Elder Drake here in game number 3. Looking for that final kill on the BDD, but Faker's gonna die to the fountain. Doesn't matter, GG, as T1 will take the series 2-1 and move on in the KeSPA Cup.
Well, definitely a bit of a longer series than we're used to so far in KeSPA Cup, but SKT finally managed to close it out. Game 3, definitely a little bit more rough than any of the other games. Some shaky points inside, but they were able to bring it home nonetheless. Definitely a lot more bloody, though, than we're used to in Korean games.
Yeah, we had a lot of fights, especially after the mid-game, as Faker actually had a little bit of a smirk there. You don't see that all too often. Seems very happy with the way that the game went, showing more and more emotion as he gets older and more comfortable on stage. Gen.G members, though, looked a bit distraught, especially Klid against his former team, looked pretty unhappy. Teddy, he did a lot of damage. He ulted into the back of fights.
Double MVP for Teddy.
Yeah. So we will be hearing from him alone, I believe.
Yeah.
Just a one-on-one interview. No awkward shuffling or anything like that. So we'll take another look here at the highlights. The laning phase was quite the disaster for KeSPA Blitzcrank, which you might expect against Varus Tom Kench.
Just taking a look at all the highlights, because he fell really far behind early on, but was able to recover. Honestly, this game is a really, really, really good example of things just sort of going wrong after so much went right in the first 8 minutes. Gen.G was dominating every single lane in such an unrealistic manner. If these two teams play out these comps 100 times over, how often does that level of non-kill, just raw lane destruction end up occurring? It's a pretty rare occurrence. But once the mid-game rolled around, all of them except for bottom lane had actually flipped the tables around entirely. So it was definitely very surprising. The Dragons, they weren't all that exciting so far, though.
Yeah, Dragons overall, we seem to only put importance on them when it's a Dragon Soul. Before that, it's like, yeah, I mean, are they getting close to the Dragon Soul or not? We don't even find the individual stats from the Dragons to be that important, as eventually we got to Elder 2. This was Elder 1. This was when Teddy got into the back line after actually spotting BDD over the wall and winning the fight. Gets over there. 1-shot, 2-shot execution onto Rascal. And then at the end, he presses R button and auto-attacked a bunch.
Yeah.
Very good mechanics from Teddy. I don't know who I would give the MVP in this one. I kind of ignore the MVPs from the KeSPA Cup because I usually don't agree with them.
Oh yeah, game 1, I did not agree.
Didn't really
that
make
was
too much
100% Faker.
Yeah.
100. It was not even close.
I might give it to like Effort or Cuz.
No.
I don't know. Teddy did do the most damage, so we'll give that to him.
We're gonna head to the MVP interview now.
Not in the game though, as Varus ended up doing more. And yeah, we are going to go over to the MVP interview, as we will be hearing from Teddy. So let's hear what he has to say.
네, 2019년 마지막 날 울산행 세 번째 티켓을 두고 펼쳐진 T1과 젠지의 경기에서 T1이 2대1의 스코어로 승리를 거머쥐었습니다. 오늘 그 어느 때보다 원딜 간의 대결이 정말 눈에 띄었는데 제 옆에는 그 원딜 눈에 띄었던 테디 선수가 나와 계십니다. 인터뷰
It was
진행해
really a
보겠습니다. 승리
80
축하드립니다.
carry match.
네. 야 정말
In this
아무래도 최강의 로스터라고 평가를 받던 젠지였던 만큼 이 경기 승리 소감 남다를 것 같은데 승리 소감 먼저 말씀해 주신다면요?
일단
You defeated Gen.G,
되게
who
라인업이 좋아서
A lot of people are saying had the best roster.
젠지 라인업들이 다 세가지고 잘
So how did you
네.
feel about that?
저희가 그거 봤거든요. 그래서 오늘 이대로 이겨서 기분 좋은 것 같아요.
He's agreed they have a very strong roster,
첫 번째
so I'm
세트에서는
happier than I
약간
normally would be.
경기가 진행됐다고 느껴졌습니다. 아무래도 뱀픽 단계에서 지속적인 어떤 딜적인 측면에서 좋은 평가를 중계진들도 보내주셨는데 어떤 점에 주안점을 두고 이제 뱀픽을 이어나갔고 또
You
승리를
had a lot of
잡았다고
compliments on your picks and bans
느끼시는지
from the
첫
casters.
번째 판 같은 경우에는 그냥 후반 가면
So, what did you guys think about that? Not the English casters, just the Korean ones, guys.
자기가 훨씬 세가지고 그냥 후반 천천히 가면 그냥 무조건 이긴다 약간 마인드로 그냥 게임했던 것 같아요.
그렇습니다.
So,
자, 그런데
first-
KeSPA가 두 번째 세트 때는 정말
First game we focused on the late
엄청난
game, the
활약을
scaling.
보여줬습니다. 약간 힘든 경기가 이어졌는데 어떤 부분이 좀 잘 안 풀렸는지도 궁금합니다.
일단 바텀 초반에 클리 선수가 다이브를 잘 쳐가지고 저희가 잘
So what went wrong in set number 2 then?
거기서 되게 좀 많이 컸던 것 같아요. 거기서 일단.
Basically,
거기서
Clid did really well. And he
그렇다면
ganked really
아무래도
well.
중계진의 표현을
especially in the bottom lane to start off.
들었던 바텀 다이브가 이런 점들 세 번째 세트까지 좀 이어졌던 것 같은데 많이 신경이 쓰이셨을 것 같은데 이런 점들은 어떠셨나요?
확실히 클리 선수가 그냥 각을 잘 보더라고요. 바텀 다이브는.
We were
근데
getting
저희가
dived a lot in the
바텀에서 콜을
bottom
해줄 수
side.
있었는데 그것도 콜을 못 해줘가지고
Clid is really good at bottom lane
저희
ganking.
잘못이어가지고 첫 번째
And we
판에는
missed the
그래도
call.
저희가 정글을 땡겨가지고 좀 잘 받아친 것 같아요.
That Clid was
그렇습니다.
coming for the
자,
gank,
세 번째 세트가
so
정말
we
할 얘기가 많을
got
것
caught by
같습니다.
it multiple
아무래도 모든
times.
세트가 초반에 승기를 잡으면은 좀 뒤집기 힘들었던 분위기가 이어졌는데 세 번째 세트도 처음부터 정말 전 라인에서 강하게 이 젠지 압박이 이어졌습니다. 이때
So in the
어떤 식으로 대처하자고
first
팀
and
단위로 얘기가
second
나왔는지
set,
궁금합니다.
일단 바루스 상계치가 라인전이 힘든데 좀 시간
I didn't
지날수록
quite
저희
catch that
블랭
one, but
발각
talking
때문에
about
바루스가 그렇게 안무를
how they
못해요.
turned it
상계치도
around in
안
set
네.
3.
그냥 천천히 하자는 마인드로 했고 그냥 노림수만 계속 봤는데 좀 잘 통해서
First,
잘
Tom
끌어서
Kent
잘
is in
된 것
extremely strong laning phase, so we had to bear it, grin and bear it, and
그런데 오늘 이제 경기를 쭉 지켜보다 보면은
wait for the later game.
용을
That's
굉장히
why
잘
I was
챙긴다는
able to
느낌을 받았습니다. 또
eventually get
상대가
online.
전령을 챙길 때 꼭 용을 챙기는 느낌을 받았는데 이런 오브젝트
Throughout the
컨트롤에
games,
대해서는 어떤 식으로 또
You
생각을
were
하셨는지도
focusing on the
여쭤볼게요.
Drake
일단 저희가
captures a
주도권이
lot.
없어가지고 상대가 전령을 가서 저희가 반대쪽에 그냥 용을 먹은 거고요. 그리고 그냥
네.
저희 정글이나 미드 형들 뭐 다른 선수들 다 콜을 잘 해가지고 용도 잘 먹었던 것 같아요.
We didn't have the power
자,
within
이제
our
정말 중요했던 어떤
composition
승기를 잡았던
too much, so we
상황이라고
wanted
여쭤볼 수
to
있을 것
focus
같습니다.
on
상대가
getting the
바론을
Drakes
노리는
to
상황
power up
속에서
a bit.
이제 상대 정글 클리드 선수를 밀어내고 장로를 선택했던 순간 좀 승기를 확신하셨는지도 여쭤보고 싶고 그때 또 어떤 분위기였는지도 여쭤보고 싶습니다.
So in game 3, the enemy team was focusing on Baron,
네.
but you guys actually went over to
약간
Drake.
네.
장로를 뛰었는데 장로를 먹어서 좀 이게 한타가 저희가 질 수가 없어서 그냥 장로 먹은 순간 좀 많이 승기를 잡았다 확신한 것 같아요.
그렇군요.
So after we got the Dragon Soul, we felt like we couldn't really lose team fights. And so after we got that Dragon Soul and eventually the Elders, it felt like we had won the game.
다른 선수들에 대한 팬분들의 기대도 많았을 텐데 이 선수들과의 호흡은 어땠는지도 좀 여쭤보고 싶습니다.
How do you think about Kana? What do you think about his play?
아직 그렇게 막 엄청 좋은 건 아닌데 할수록 느는 게 느껴져가지고 좋은 것 같아요.
그렇군요.
He's not the best right now, but you can feel his improvement day by day, and that's the most important thing.
아무래도 응원해주러 오신 많은 팬분들이 계신데 팬분들에게 한마디 또 각오까지 전해주시면 좋을 것 같습니다.
오늘 되게 추운 날씨에 경기
So, how about a word to the fans?
팬분들 감사하고 그냥
It's freezing today, not on the Rift, but out in Korea.
네, 여러분 박수 부탁드리겠습니다.
So we're going to focus on doing our best for the rest of the tournament. For you fans out there, here in the studio and out there on the stream as well. Shout out to all you guys who are sticking with us. And yeah, that's going to be the end of the interview. We only got to hear from Teddy as he got both of the MVPs on the back of that series. And did deserve at least one of them there at the end. But I believe we don't really have too much time to talk, guys. We're going to have a quick break, maybe 20 minutes before we come back for the next series, DragonX versus DAMWON. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
battlefield. Dominate your competition with the infrared beam. And if that's not enough, experience real rapid-fire action with the Gel Bead Blaster. With the included interactive curriculum, anyone can learn how to code, teach it to move, recognize shapes, and a whole lot more.